The NLL had another week where it feels like everything is tightening up. Saskatchewan still sitting in first, but Vancouver is right on their tail. Toronto keeps stacking wins after beating Halifax 14-13 in overtime. And then you've got teams like San Diego, Halifax, Rochester, Las Vegas, all in these spots where every weekend feels like it changes how you look at them. Vegas goes and hangs 17 on Rochester. Saskatchewan barely gets by San Diego. And suddenly every result feels bigger because we are running out of time. This is where the league really gets interesting, because now it is not just about who won, it is about what these teams are telling us about themselves. And one team I keep coming back to is Halifax, because the Thunderbirds in this weird spot where they are close enough to stay in the conversation, but far enough back that you have to start asking the bigger questions. So before we get into that and the rest of the recap, we're going to start there. And later in this episode, we got Pierre Filion from Think Lacrosse joining the show today to talk about the Lacrosse Canada situation. So let's get right into it. Welcome back. My name is Jake McDonald. I'm in Think Lacrosse, and this is the game that never sits still. Starting off strong, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys want to see in these episodes, as well as go follow the socials, the Anything Lacrosse show, and just Anything Lacrosse on TikTok, as well as go join the Discord. It will all be on the screen here, so you guys can just follow it from there. So today is episode 40, which is crazy to think that we got this far, because most people, I think I've seen somewhere that like 99% of podcasts end within the first 10 episodes. So I'm 4 times that length. So I think I'm doing okay, right? So I mean, I'd like to be a little bit more consistent, maybe in the sense on the time frame, but I do my best, guys, with a full-time job. So maybe one day when I do this full time, that's kind of the dream anyway, right? Well, anyway, episode 40, pretty impressive. Still going to go strong. Still definitely going to bring lots of content. And it all starts with today. So we'll be going through the Week 16 recap. I got 2 topics to talk about like I always do. We're doing an interview with Pierre Filion, who is for Think Lacrosse. He's the one that kind of started me on this journey, I want to say, about looking into Lacrosse Canada. Like I would like to start by saying, I'm not going on a witch hunt for Lacrosse Canada. I just want to know that the money is being spent right. And I think I'm learning as I go along that maybe what I'm worried about isn't what the main thing should be worried about, right? But because when I look at like $150,000 meeting, I'm just like, that's insane, and people just don't seem to be as shocked by it as I am. So maybe that's just because I'm brokey, I guess, as the people would say. But I don't know, guys. That's just a big number to me. But Pierre gives some good insight, some good suggestions on how to kind of go about it. He's just really reporting on this too, and again, I don't think he's going on this witch hunt either. After talking to him, you guys can judge for yourselves on that one. We'll get into the interview in a little bit here. Another thing that I'm going to be talking about is putting on my case. I'm going to be putting my case together on why Halifax should go through a rebuild and not a retool. And I know I'm going to be the first one to talk about this, and everyone's going to be saying I'm right in 2 years when they go through a retool, because I know they're going to do that. But you never know with Kurt in there. I will say that. He's a little bit of a surprise, but you got to know there's changes coming this summer, and I'm going to be talking about that in my first segment here. So we'll get into that in a minute, and then we're going to just go through the Week 16 recap as we always do, all my player awards, everything that we normally do here, guys. Right? So if you're new here, what we do is I usually have 2 topics that I like to cover. I'll do an interview a lot of times. If I don't, sometimes I don't. But Pierre's interview, we'll be going through like 2 topics, and then I'll be going through the weekly recap. Each game individually, will be telling you my thoughts on it, and I will also be going through just, each stat individually. And this is something that I think I'm really the only one that's doing this. Maybe don't credit me on that one that goes through every stat. I don't know if people like it or not, but this is my shtick, and this is the way that I think. I'm a deep dive. I'm a numbers guy, so I like to go through every number that I can. So I feel like that's what I'm going to try to bring to the table for you, and I love it like that, right? So you can go look up this stuff yourself, but I find just sometimes when you're sitting at work, some people are auditory learners, and I listen to podcasts all day at work now, and it's great. I learn a lot just by doing that, right? But I'm basically kind of an auditory learner. So for anybody who's like that, they might actually be able to pick up on the stats like this. Some people need to see them. For stats, I do like to look at them as well, but it's kind of just gives you an idea on where everyone is, where they're sitting. I'll give you my thoughts on the game. I try to catch at least some of each game. I watched a lot of lacrosse this weekend though. Last game of the week, I did actually end up thinking it was on later, so I went for a nap to be ready for it because I thought it's at 10 o'clock, and then I woke up and it was over. So I did watch the recap on that one. I will say that, which is unfortunate. I really want to see that one because that's a good game. We're going to talk about that too. Yeah. So anyway, then we'll go through, like I always go through that. I go through my player weeks. I go through the standings. I go through my power rankings. I'll go through my power rankings, and then I will end it with my preview for the following week. That's pretty much always my structure. I just like to kind of, anybody new here that's listening, I always forget. I always just feel like I'm talking to, you know what, I mean, honestly, I just get on and I feel like I'm talking to myself a lot of times. I know I have, like, you know, I know I have at least a few of you guys are at the point where I think you're listening to me on a weekly basis, because I just, my numbers that I see and stuff. So I appreciate you guys the most, the ones that are here every week. And I'd love if you guys left me a comment, because that would, you know, I remember things a lot, right? So if you're an original follower right now, when I get to, you know, up, like when as my account grows, I'm gonna recognize your name, because you've been here since so early. And there's already a few names that I do recognize from people who comment on my stuff, or people that argue with me. And I love, it's funniest thing too. Some people get mad at people when they argue with you, and I don't. I'm the opposite. I'm like, I love this, because it's like, it makes me think so much when somebody comes at me from a different opinion, and I'm like, okay, maybe you know, I can usually meet somebody halfway in the middle, even if I don't think they're fully right. I'll kind of like, they usually make some good points. So I really enjoy when people tell me I'm wrong, to be honest with you. So then I get to, it kind of lets me think about my things. So, which I'm going to hear about a lot in this episode, because I got some hot takes in this one. So, all right. So without further ado, let's get right into this episode. So, we're going to start off with two topics, as we always do. I got to figure out a segment thing. You guys leave me in the comments what I should, because I don't want to just copy Lacrosse Classified. His is perfect. Honestly, Lacrosse, like Jake's is perfect. I'm not going to copy that though, right? And I'm not really, I'm trying to think of what the other guys do. I just know Jake's really stands out to me, because that's exactly how I wanted to structure mine, but I'm like, I can't do it. So I need some segment ideas, right? Give me some segment ideas. I need some segment ideas. But like some names, some way to break down the information, right? Anyway, we're going to start with my two topics of the week. So starting off strong, we're going to talk about Halifax, why they need a rebuild, okay? Now, here's my thing, guys. Starting off strong. Now, I had somebody comment on my video, Mr. Austin Stotts. So, obviously, like him, he's super knowledgeable. He's super close to Halifax, because his brother plays for them. And he's just so into lacrosse. It's like, you got to respect that opinion of it, right? Like, he knows his shit when it comes to that. But, like I said in the video that he responded, so I made a video response to him this week, because I'm pretty open on this. I think that Halifax is ready for a rebuild. And people really like to fight back against that, and they think these guys are super young, and they're not. Now, I'm new to lacrosse, right? So I'm like, okay, well, what does a lot of players play till, right? I know some guys can play in their 40s, like, don't get me wrong, few and far between, right? But when you look at this roster, this to me, I was so high on Halifax the start of this year. I was like 14-4, second place in the league, super high on them. Like, I was so high on them. Now, like I was saying to, you know, in my comments and stuff, and in the video, they've had fun. Now after this week, another overtime loss. They've had 2 overtime losses, I think it is. At least 2 for sure. Because they lost against Buffalo in overtime, and they lost this week against Toronto in overtime. They've had 5 one-goal game losses. So let's just take this away from it, okay? Now, this is the thing about sports. Ifs, ands, and buts don't really matter, right? It doesn't matter. But let's just take a second for a minute. So if they had 3 more wins, right? Let's see where they're sitting right now. Just to Halifax is currently sitting 5-8, okay? So imagine if they just won 3 of those, right? So 60%. 2 of them were in overtime too. That would bring them, they'd have their record completely flipped right now. They'd be 8-5, and if they were 8-5, they'd be sitting 5th place, 6th place right now. Definite playoff spot, right? They'd sitting about 5th or 6th, because Toronto would have another loss. Maybe if they were one of the teams. But, you know, this is kind of the thing. And to me, Warren Hill has given them the best performance of his career this year, if not one of them, right? I think it might be statistically the best performance of his career, and they can't get it done. They had in my opinion, one of the best defensemen in the league, in Tyson Bell, that they traded away. They traded away Dawson Thied, which again still makes no sense to me. I don't care. I've been told why, guys. Like, I know why he got traded away, and it still doesn't make any sense to me. Okay? It makes 0 sense why he got traded away. When you would see him now, is he every night he's putting these multiple number goals? No, but there's been times where he's put up 5-6 points for Oshawa since he's been there, and it's been multiple games. So like, you're telling me you couldn't use that production in Halifax, and not only that, but that production would have got you 1 or 2 of these wins. I'm telling you that. Like, I don't, and you know, I know Hogarth is injured. Okay, I understand that. He's a solid player. I get that. He hasn't been here. Would this team be better? Probably. Right? Like, there's no doubt about that. With that being said, he's not here. This was supposed to be the year. Randy Stotts he's older. And don't get me wrong, I'm 34, okay? This guy's 33 years old. Like, that's not that old. But when you're an athlete, it is. You're going against these kids that are running around like you in circles. Now, the thing about Randy Stotts is he's just a freak specimen, okay? He's got one of the best shots, if not the best shot in the league. How much longer does he want to play? Can he play if he's going to get through so many injuries, because the guy's been injured since last summer in the Man Cup. So that I know of, right? So this is when really, realistically, I really started watching, this, because last season I watched the end of last season, but I didn't it's not like I'm as knowledgeable and I was as intricate as I am now. So now when I'm watching the games, I'm really watching these players, and I can tell you right now, even from when I started watching to where they are now, Randy Stotts he's slowed down a little bit, but also he keeps he's dealing with probably an injury that he's been dealing with that's a long-term injury, right? I think it's an MCL. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he tore the MCL, okay? He's going to go get surgery, don't get me wrong. He's going to come back. The guy's a freak of nature. He's going to come back, right? I'm not saying that. But if he couldn't do it this year, yes, like I just said, he's kind of, if you look at his statistics, I think he is down year over year kind of deal. Go look at the numbers, boys. We don't want to sit here and bullshit. Let's go. So, Randy Stotts. So, let's go like this. Can I go? Oh, no. I want to go over a couple points here, okay, that I looked up earlier in the week. So we're gonna touch on this. Here's Halifax players, oldest to youngest, okay? You have Stephen Coe, who is 39. You have Cody Jamieson, who's 38. You have Ethan O'Connor, who's 35. You have Ansbury, who's 35. We can kind of count him because, let's be real, he's probably not going to be around unless he's scrapping. So, you could keep him in. I don't know. Warren Hill's 33. Graham Hosak's 33. Randy Stotts is 33. Jake Withers is 32. Trevor Smith is 30 and at 28, okay? That's what, how many players is that? That's 13 players that are over 30. Now, I don't know what the stat is right off the bat. This might shout out to Graham Perro, to be honest with you. I might have to text him and ask him this one. What is the average age that players play till in college lacrosse or in the NLL, right? We're gonna ask ChatGPT right now, so I'm gonna give you guys the update. But just to give you guys another, so there's the age, right? So CP24 is 28. Just to keep going through here, sorry. So they got CP24. They got Hutch. Is Hutch your goalie? Is he the guy? I don't think so. Okay, that's just my own opinion. Okay, this is just my opinion. I don't think he's the guy. Rip my fucking face off if you disagree with me, but Hutchinson's not the guy to me. They still need their next goalie. Okay, Demude going to Halifax. If depends on how much longer Hill's there or whatever. Because there was rumors that nobody really was interested in him other than Halifax last year, if I do remember correctly. Then you got Terefenko. Honestly, don't get me wrong. Terefenko's a beast. You keep him. You keep him in this rebuild. This hypothetical rebuild. You keep CP24. You keep Terefenko. Alex Q. You're obviously keeping Alex Q, right? But you could probably get decent return for him. You got Romanchuk. Romanchich. I don't know how to say that game, guys. Romanchich. We're going to call him Romanchich. I apologize. We're going to work on the pronunciation of that one. That's 26. You got Max Wilson at 26. Doncon Thompson is 26. Bo Hunter, which a lot of people like to talk shit about Bo Hunter. I'm not going to lie. And they say a lot of this, I hear nepotism with him, which I personally, when I look at his stats, I disagree with it every time. I don't know why he's been sitting the last couple of games too, but anyway, which is the nepotism thing, right? Okay. 26. You got Austin Bloomberg's 26, Mike Robinson with 25, Cole Kirst 25. So there's Max Wilson on piece. Yes, that's okay. And then you got Jason Knox 25, Justin Getty with 24. Justin Getty is really not. I don't think he's had much of a look, possibly. I know Vegas was a shit show last year. Let's be real, guys. You got Casey. So maybe Getty. To be honest with you, I know this is gonna be improper. This is gonna be such a fucking hot take, but I think I'd prefer Getty over Hutch myself. I know. No one's gonna like that one. I know that. You got Casey Wilson at 24. Obviously, he's not going anywhere. That's your boy. And I guess I heard this on Lacrosse Classified that I guess he basically armed his way into Halifax, which this is the thing that people don't understand, and it might just be because his brothers are in this situation, but Halifax being the Six Nation team, essentially, or one of them, right? Because you got Buffalo in there too, kind of. But essentially, Halifax with Kurt Stiers being the owner, he's kind of got the Six Nation. You know me, I'm big on those guys are the best lacrosse players in the world. They produce the best lacrosse players in the world. I always say that. And I just think that you're going to have players that are just specifically going to go play there. Same as Rochester. Same as Buffalo, I think, right? Buffalo's got a huge advantage. Toronto, Oshawa, they all have advantages, right, in this league. And there's, I guess, and that's the thing about Vegas right now. There's a lot of players that are just I don't want to play there. And I think, again, this goes back to attendance. This goes back to everything. Get Vegas in downtown. But that's a whole other conversation. So there you go, have it. So just to let you guys know, too, this is another thing, okay? The average age for each team is Buffalo Bandits 30.47, Vancouver Warriors 30.44, Rochester is 29.67, which is terrifying because they're not even making the playoffs this year. You got Ottawa with 29.56. You got Las Vegas with 29.08. You got Halifax with 29.03. Saskatchewan's 28.48. So Saskatchewan, I even thought they'd be a little bit higher than that. You got Philadelphia with 28.12. Oshawa Firewolves are at 28. San Diego is at 27.75. San Diego's a lot younger than I gave him credit for, too. Georgia Swarm's 27.68. Toronto Rock's 27.56. Colorado's at 26.85, which is insane. Colorado's so young, but they are. And then Calgary's got the youngest average team, with 25.93, and that's what I mean. The only disappointment in here, this is the only disappointment in Calgary, because I think they've blown everyone's expectations out of the water, including mine, way far, right? They come in and give hard every game. Like, honestly, Calgary is on the option to become my team, because I think they're on the ups, and I like Aiden Walsh. I like all that teams. It's a good excuse to go to the mountains to see a game. I kind of like it. But Calgary, no. Calgary is, I think they're a lot better than people are saying. But that's, when I go over these age ranges, this is what I'm saying. So Halifax is kind of sitting in the middle, kind of closer to the top. Like, they're sitting 6th right now, and this is what I mean. This is what I said in my comments. I said, if they're talking an actual retool and they go get Lyle Thompson and they go get a Joey Rez and they go get, like, Tyson Bell comes back and signs with them. They sign everybody. They make it work, whatever. And they go on a run. Okay. So what? They might do it, right? But with that being said, if that's putting a lot of your eggs into one basket, into one season, unless they know something that I don't, and maybe they do, right? That's the thing about lacrosse. Everyone's intertwined in here, right? So, and I don't know shit. That's why I'm just running my mouth, right? I don't know. But I just think that unless you see Halifax go have an amazing splash in free agency next in the offseason. So if that doesn't happen, where they just have a normal free agency, maybe bring in one big piece, maybe a Lyle, but even Lyle's declined this year, and that's me saying he's the best player in the world, right? And I've been a big advocate for that, but you can see the decline in his game a little bit this year. Now, whether a lot of people said he was hurt at the beginning, maybe still dealing with a little bit of injury, I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But he's still an amazing player, don't get me wrong. And Nolan Byrne, he's like, you can see it. He's really teaching Nolan Byrne how to play. He's really mentoring him. So I think Lyle, you might see him get into coaching or something as time goes on, man. Because it's a pretty big honor. Or pretty big, he's just the way I watch Nolan Byrne play and the way, like, he gets to play beside Lyle, like, man, he's good, dude. I love Nolan Byrne, too. Big fan of his. And so what the fuck were we doing here? Oh, yeah, Randy Stotts, okay. So I wanted to look at, I got way sidetracked there. But Randy Stotts, let's see if he actually is declining. So this year, he's got 18 goals and 33 assists. That's almost in 11 games. So we've still got, he's injured for the rest of the year. So realistically, to be honest with you guys, goal-wise, he's actually probably on pace for his best season since his rookie season. Because he's on pace, or no, not quite. Because he had 18 games, he had 18 goals in 11. So you're looking at 1.5 goals a game or something ish, a little bit less than that. 1.5 goals a game, so you're looking at another 7 games, let's call it 20 goals, just to like kind of give us a nice round number. So not 20, sorry, he's got 7 games left, so that'd be another 10 goals. So he'd probably be sitting around 28-30 goals this season. I mean, realistically, he got 32 last year. Actually, you know what, he's pretty much on pace. He's not really declining, I will have to say that. I was wrong with that. So Randy's still, yeah, he's a little bit lower, to be honest with you. Like, right now, he's got 51 points in 11 games. He had 102 and 17 last season. So, definitely a little bit of a decline there. Realistically, he kind of seems like he kind of goes up and down. But you can see, like, he played 9 games in 2023. So, obviously, injury there. Had a great season last season, his first 100-point season. And now he's injured again. So, we'll see how much he declines here. I will say his playoff numbers look real fucking good, though. And that's the thing. Even his 3 games, he got 4 goals, 12 assists, and 16 points last year in the playoffs. So, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on Randy Stotts, though, or Stotts by any means. Guy's an absolute veteran. It's just that when I look at it, should you maybe take him and just move him for assets to bring in youth? Because at least right now, I mean, after even looking at that, it's like you kind of know what you're getting out of the guy, right? And I'm sure, I mean, is he going to come back? I'm sure he's coming back. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure he is. If he wants to, I'm sure he is, which I'm sure, why wouldn't you, right? I mean, he's a winner. He just won his, three, I'm pretty sure he won the Chiefs last year anyway. And I think the year before for sure. I'm pretty sure he was on all 3, but I could be wrong about that one. But I know he was at least on 2 of them for sure. So, and I think he was on all 3, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway. So Randy Stotts, older, all these guys are starting to get older is what I'm trying to say. And that's my whole point to this, where we've way off track here. But that's kind of my whole point on this is where we're at for me, it's with the age And the next two drafts, this is the other thing that I want to bring up too, actually. The next two drafts are going to be so deep, especially 27. That's all I've heard about since I was talking, like since I was watching the draft last year, they were talking about 27 already. 27 is supposed to be that generational draft. Cody Milosky, right? Trey Deer, so many other guys. Like if I pull up the list, it's going to be just like name after name after name, right? So I know those two are like two of the kind of the top, the higher guys. And who's the other guy? There's one more I'm forgetting right now that are like a top-toted player. And so this is the thing. Why wouldn't you want to go load up on that draft? If this is what everyone's saying, even if they're off by a little bit, like if you get these kids that are coming up, and I find the lacrosse players are getting better every year, right? So it's like when you watch these kids do what they're doing now compared to what they were doing 10 years ago, it's night and day. So now what you're going to get is now you're going to have to compete against these younger, fresher, hungrier kids that are coming up to play against you. And is Halifax, I will say they have a few really nice young pieces. They've got a lot of veterans. And I just think if it was the year, it would have been this year. This would have been the year that they should have done it. And that's just my own opinion. So now the question is, do you try to fight? And so let's say they go retool, right? Now, if they don't bring in that massive pull like I just talked about, do you think that they can go contend for a championship? Let's just hypothetically say they don't get any big pieces, right, in free agency, but they keep everybody they have. Do you think they will be able to compete for a championship next year? I don't know. Can Warren Hill have the same year next year that he did this year, right? That's the real question. And then if he doesn't, that's where it gets hard, right? I don't know. That's my whole point of it. When I'm looking at these teams like Toronto, like if you look at the roster of Toronto, look at all their studs that are coming up. That's the team you're going to have to play against to try to win the championship. Look at like a team like, even Vancouver. Like, yes, they're a little bit older, but they are primed, ready to win right now. Saskatchewan, same thing. You think Saskatchewan, if they lose this year, they're not going to go take it back again? 1,000. If they win, you don't think they're going to take it back again, try to be the next dynasty? Yes, they are. So, there's some teams in here that are ready to win now. Colorado with that trio. I've talked about that. They've got Nathan Whittam, which is the next goalie. So even when Dylan Ward rides off into the sunset, whenever he decides to do that, Nathan Whittam is going to be their starting goalie ready to go. Halifax doesn't have that, in my opinion. Do they have their starting goalie in 4 years right now? I don't think so, right? That's what I look at. So even do they have a starting goalie contending in 2 years? I don't know. I like Hill personally, but I do know with what goalies are coming up and the way the style's changing a little bit. I don't know, man. These goalies have to be able to move around real good. Now, Hill has been fantastic this year, right? And I said everybody was underrating Hill. But at the end of the day, I went through this with Frick the other day. It's like, or whenever he was on my podcast, I have to agree with Frick in this sense, is that where do you put Hill on, if you're ranking goalies one through whatever, right? 1 through 14, where do you put Hill? I put him at 6 or 7. You're not putting him above Delbs. You're not putting him above Dobson, nor Dylan Ward. And then you can start to kind of make the argument at 4 if you really wanted to. Hard, right? But is there other goalies that I think are better? Yeah, than Hill. I do think there's goalies better than Hill. It's no hate towards Hill. I like Hill. I love Hill. I think he's a great goaltender. I think that he's underrated. But objectively, I'd put him higher than I would. You could slide him. I think you could slide him into 5, right? I think 5 there's an argument to be made. He could be sitting at 5 right now. But yeah, I think it's hard to argue. And let's go see. This is what I'm talking about. I got to look at the stats, right? So let's look up the goalie stats. Go look up the goalie stats because I want to see because I like a lot of goalies. Oh yeah, so Frankie, you gonna put him above Frankie? I'm not putting him above Frankie. Not the way Frankie's been playing. No way. There's no way. Frankie's been killing it. So you got Frankie. See, there you go. You got Frankie, Christian, Dylan Ward, Brett Dobson. That's 4 right there, right? And then, I personally, I'm a massive fan of Higgins. I would put Higgins over Hill myself, but it depends on the night. This season, I would almost, consistency-wise, I'd probably put Hill over Higgins this season, right now. Matt Vince, Hill this season, Hill over Higgins. I would say that. So I honestly, Hill might be a 5th. That's what I mean. I think Nick Rose. No, I've got Nick Rose at 5. Yeah, Nick Rose at 5. And then I would have Hill at 6. Nick Rose has been fucking lights out too, to be honest with you. I'd take Nick Rose over Hill. That's my own opinion though, and I understand. But that's what I mean. There is an argument to be made that he is 5th. But 6th, so I would say more 5th or 6th than actually 6th or 7th after looking over the numbers. That's why we always look over the numbers, guys. Because we can't be talking bullshit. We got to look at the facts, the numbers, the logic, everything. So we take the numbers, then we remember in our heads the games we've seen and everything we've seen so far this season. And so anyway, so there you have it. So basically, let's just sum this up real quick. just to make it real easy. We have the reasons I think Halifax needs to go through a rebuild is you have their aging. The teams that are coming up are going to be smoking, and the teams that are already there are going to be, they're already hard to beat, right? So you have to argue if you can be better at them. You can be better in Saskatchewan, Vancouver, Colorado, Georgia in the next 2 years to do a retool. Can you do that? And if you can't do that, then we need to do a rebuild. Like Halifax has to do a rebuild. And then on top of that, do they have their next goalie? Do they have their next guy? I don't think they do. Do you trust Warren Hill to have this season again and again and again and again? The next 4 years. Do you trust Warren Hill is going to be the same goalie that he is this year at 35? Do you think that? That's the argument. I don't personally. I love Warren Hill, man. I love him. I was talking him up like crazy. I still think he's a fantastic goalie. I do. Is he going to be like that in 2 years? I don't know. He could be, right? Look at Matt Vince, right? Go prove us wrong, Mr. Hill. I don't know. But when I look at it objectively, you have to really get that commitment out of him. He's a big piece to this puzzle, in my opinion, on whether you retool or whether you rebuild. He is a big piece to the puzzle. Do all these guys come back? That's another big question. Does Tyson Bell come back? Does Lyle come over? Maybe they can go steal another free agent? Do they go steal a goalie that they don't trust Hill, or they bring somebody else in? But then does that just? I don't really like goalie battles either. I like when a team has one goalie that's their bona fide guy they run with. It works better in my opinion, rather than trying to run a tandem on who's in, who's out. You got this Toronto thing going on too, where like people were shocked that Nick Rose was in. Why? He's the better goalie, right? We'll go into that in a minute. But anyway, there's kind of my rundown on why I think Halifax should go through a full rebuild over retool, and it sums up to basically, I think if they retool, they're just not going to be good enough in order to win a championship. And will they be good enough to make the playoffs? Absolutely. But I can tell you, Halifax, the way their fan base is, if you can just go there, they will watch a rebuild with you, no problem. They will. They'll sit there and they'll watch the next 3 years. If they have something to look forward to, they will watch it. This could be the next Buffalo. Okay, they would have to upgrade their arena, obviously, but they want to get a PWHL team in there, all this stuff. So maybe they can work together on this one. I can tell you right now that this could be the next Buffalo. I've gone down to games. I went down to Toronto Rock game. Halifax is by far the better arena to see a game in. I'm telling you that right now. Halifax is now East Coast. I will say it's East Coast, guys. It's different party down here, okay? But East Coasters know how to party. And East Coasters, the music, the atmosphere, people are friendly like down here, right? And it was just it's a smaller arena, which creates that more intimate environment. It seems louder. So I really enjoy myself in Toronto and in Halifax. But if I had to choose, I would say Halifax has a better atmosphere than Toronto. That's no hate, right? But Toronto was great too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on Toronto. I'm just saying Halifax is different. It's kind of like, the best way I can say it to you, and this might not make any sense to anybody but an East Coaster, is it's like a kitchen party. It's like a big kitchen party in Halifax. Like, that's the best way I can explain it. It's the bomb. So this city could support a full rebuild, and they'd be happy to do it if they know they're looking at a championship. What I think is going to piss the city off a little bit, or at least, I don't know, these lacrosse fans are not. They are so happy-go-lucky, lacrosse fans. We're going to see that change. But right now, they're very happy-go-lucky because it's still kind of fresh, and there's a lot of still newer fans. But I do think Halifax does need a new arena, and I would love to see them get bigger. So, because they pack the house, and I think they could get more fans in there if they had the room, to be honest with you. So Halifax is great, and it's just I don't want to see mediocrity, and I don't want to see this team go through 2-3 years to where we're sitting here and we're like, oh, we should have rebuilt when the draft was absolutely going to be stacked. I don't know, guys. You could load up. You could just wait and get Charlie Malcolm though when he gets up there, because he's going to be an absolute stud when he gets into this league eventually. So anyway, shout out Charlie. All right, so I've talked about that long enough. You get my point. If you don't understand, let me know, and I'll try to go into it in a better way. I don't know. Topic 2 is I should mention Lacrosse Canada. Like, we are going to talk about Lacrosse Canada. I'm probably going to go into deeper that. I haven't dug into the numbers yet, so I haven't really looked into it, to be honest with you. So I'm not going to go run in my mouth. You're going to hear about all Lacrosse Canada in a minute here with Pierre. But before we get into that, I do want to address something bring something up that Jake, Elliott, and Lucas were talking about on Lacrosse Classified last week, which I finally got around to listening to today. Because for some reason, I think it might have been not put out till Thursday last week. So that's why I was like, because on Wednesday I was like looking for it. And I'm like, and then I looked Thursday and it was on there. But I think I seen it today that it wasn't put out till Thursday. So maybe they were a little bit late putting it out this week. Because I'll usually listen to it Thursdays while I'm at work. And it's a good point with, maybe we should be looking into putting a 2-point line in the NLL. And to be honest with you, I love it. I think that's a great idea. It kind of would create more spice. It would it's kind of like hitting a special goal. Like it's kind of a cool idea. The PLL is doing it for the championship series. I'm not sure if they do it in the PLL as well, but I think it'd be a cool idea. And you seen one last week, which is why he got brought up. But it would be a kind of a cool idea and kind of change it up from the game, and it kind of keep a goaltender on its toes, I think, a little bit more. I don't know if everyone's going to be into this. I don't know if the players will like it. I don't know if other fans will like it. You guys let me know in the comments. But I thought it was a really cool idea, to be honest with you. So I just kind of wanted to mention that. So that's my quick second topic. We don't need to talk about that too much. But I think it'd be a cool idea, and it kind of just spice things up, especially for an end of a game. Imagine if a team was down by 1, and they went and got a 2-pointer and went up by 1 and won the game with like 3 seconds left in the game. Oh my God, that'd be nasty. That would be nasty. I don't know if that's what people think about, but that's what I go to right away. So anyway, so there it is. You guys let me know what you think. A little bit more spice to the game. I'm never really against that. Let's get right into the Pierre Filion interview from Think Lacrosse. I shot it once. I kind of read his articles. I shot him an email and asked him to be on the show. He was gracious enough to come on here, and French is his first language, so he did a fantastic job with English. I'm always super impressed with people who can speak 2 languages, and when people make fun of people, it blows my mind, because it's like, unless you speak multiple languages, you shouldn't say anything to anybody about how they speak, because I can tell you, I can't speak 2 languages. So now I do kind of understand French a little bit, but he did keep it to English for me. Luckily, my daughter was in school. She speaks French. She's pretty much fluent at this point. And the thing about Moncton, where I live, is it's bilingual. So it's very bilingual here. And we have like an English city and then a French city, technically. We have an English hospital and a French hospital. Now, you can go into the French hospital and they'll help you. You can go to Dieppe and they'll like talk to you. It's not like they won't talk to you. A lot of the communities outside are a lot of French. My class, when I went to school here, they spoke French, right? And anyway, so it's very bilingual. So I do catch a lot of French here, and I've learned a lot more. And like I can't speak it, but I can understand it more than I ever could before. So, and to be honest with you, even Quebec, man, he's from Quebec. But even like down here, especially, they'll say like things half in French, half in English. And even Quebec, I find they'll say some stuff like just like drive through and stuff like that. Like certain phrases come out in English. It's really funny. So they'll just be pure talking French. You'll get one phrase in English. But like I said, he kept it all in English for me and did a fantastic job. So I always, like I would say this every time I have a guest on. I appreciate anybody who gives me the time of day and who give me to talk about this, especially this sensitive situation that's Lacrosse Canada. And I think, a lot of people think Pierre is going out and trying to get everybody and trying to like really get Lacrosse Canada. It's not that at all. He's like me. He just wants it to be accountable, and he wants to grow this sport. And to be honest with you, he even says it, right? He's done, like, he's at the end of his career, and now it's more like time for me and like people younger to take the torch and try to keep fighting the good fight. And he made a lot of good points on how to expand lacrosse, and something wise. Guy's been around for a long, long time. And so without further ado, let's get right into the interview, and let's go. So today, welcome to the show, Pierre Filion. A big-time lacrosse writer, been in the lacrosse community for a long time, from what I've been reading. So how you doing, man?
Doing fine.
So right away, the way I stumbled upon you was I started going down the rabbit hole of this Lacrosse Canada situation. And nobody's really talking about it except for you. And I didn't hear about this till a couple weeks ago. So I started going down this rabbit hole, and kind of give me your rundown on what you found. I've read all your articles and stuff, but give me a rundown on kind of what you found, and if you, obviously you do see kind of an issue, but kind of give me your thoughts on it.
Well, I spoke to a friend yesterday who's been in lacrosse and who's with the National Association. And he told me, why don't we just call bankruptcy and start over again under a new name? It's that bad. Well, I got to say these first. I've been with lacrosse for 43 years. I was with the Quebec Lacrosse Federation. I was a technical director for 43 years. And I've attended, in my years, every CLA, which is what it was called at the time, meeting. I have never attended a Lacrosse Canada meeting because I retired from Quebec Lacrosse. I'm a firm believer that there is a need for a national association. So I am not negative in the essence of the association. There's a need for a national association. When I was working with Quebec Lacrosse, we had this saying, when the provinces are poor, Canadian lacrosse is stronger. But when the provinces are strong, then Lacrosse Canada or the CLA is stronger also. So the National Association never stands to lose. If the provinces are weak, dysfunctional, have no money, no players, whatever, Lacrosse Canada or the CLA at the time can maneuver its way very easily. But if the provinces get stronger, richer, more players, better organized, politically organized, then Lacrosse Canada faces not an opponent, but someone to talk to that makes sense and that is powerful. And they have to be more powerful, more organized, better equipped. At this time, the provinces are weak. This is a 3-province association. The rest are just bystanders. And Lacrosse Canada is somehow destroying itself. The past 2 financial statements have indicated that a $100,000 deficit 2 years ago, $100 and whatever $1,000 this year or last year. And this year, in this fiscal year, we are without information. It'll come out after March 31st, and it could create just another major hurdle for Lacrosse Canada and for the provinces, because if there is a third deficit in a row, the provinces will have to pay. The provinces are the main people who fund Lacrosse Canada. So the situation is the provinces need to get stronger, and Lacrosse Canada will get stronger. At this time, that's how I see it. We don't have a credible national association. We have an association, but we don't have a credible association. We also have a national association made up of 3 provinces, Ontario, British Columbia, and Alberta. The others are so far down the road that it's makes it in such a way that Lacrosse Canada can function because the players for the national teams will come from Ontario, a few from BC, the odd person from Alberta. So Lacrosse Canada doesn't debate or discuss or engage with credible associations. They engage with 3 supplement to fill the national teams, and we have a few national teams. So at this time, the situation is not very enthusiastic. There are information circulating that the members have requested the president to resign. That would create a vacuum. 2 board members have already resigned on governance issues. Those board members were elected in November, and they resigned a few days ago. They didn't resign because of a marginal decision. They resigned because of governance issues and probably mismanagement at the national level. So losing those 2 board members with high qualifications is a sign that the boat is somehow sinking. The president has to make a decision whether he will resign or not. If he resigns, then the association will be without a president, lacking 2 influential board members, and in the process of looking for a new executive director. If he remains, he could be accused of just not being a clever president for not overseeing correctly the dire situation at the executive director's level. So the association is not in a good position at this time. And who will get that association off the hook? How will they realize that and work their way out of this is what we're looking at. I mean, we're looking at something that is just sad. It really is absolutely sad. Things are going this way. I have other comments on the fact that, the association is not a democratic association. It's not functional. And obviously, it's going nowhere. It's going absolutely nowhere other than winning gold medals against the Americans or winning silver medals against the Americans. The rest is just a show. I don't know if you want me to get into the concept of the Democratic Association now, or if you have other things that you want to discuss.
Yeah, no, the one thing I do want to mention is I noticed it was they ran an $850,000 deficit last year. We're basically coming up to where they're going to be releasing the financial statements for this year. And my worry is when I was looking at some of the numbers as well, I can't remember if it was this next year or the year after, but they're looking at bringing in about $4 million revenue, a little bit over that, and then they're going to also spend over $4 million. So they're going to basically they're claiming they're going to be balanced. And they've just raised all the registration fees and everything, the coaching fees, everything's gone up to kind of make up for this mismanaged money, whatever you want to call it. Another thing that I really kind of stands out in those numbers is the $155,000 meeting costs. Once that kind of was addressed as well, they switched to virtual meetings. So, I've heard the argument where it's, they need to be in person because a lot of stuff gets done outside the boardroom while they're sitting there at the bar having a drink or having dinner. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's mismanaged spending, or do you think that's just something that needs to be done?
Well, every year, Lacrosse Canada presents a balanced budget. For the last 3 years, we've been presented with balanced budget. So the members expect that the money is going to be spent within the confines of that budget. 2 years ago, it was a $100,000 deficit. You can manage a $100,000 deficit. You can deal with it. Last year, it was $800,000. You can't manage an $800,000 deficit. So clearly, this is some form of mismanagement or overspending. They've hired people. So the money going for the staff has increased tremendously because they've hired more staff members. Obviously, the issue of meetings, I was in numerous CLA meetings, whether they be annual or semi-annual meeting, And it is true that things happen quicker and better when people are meeting face to face. Not so much that they're in the bar. Trust me, I was there, but they're not in the bar. They're in the bar at the end of the day. But most of the work is done through communication between people who face to face seem to come together better. So spending $100 is a lot of money on meetings, annual or semi-annual meeting when you bring in a lot of people. But those meetings bring in money also. The members pay for those meetings. Okay, nothing is free. So airfare, hotel, accommodation, and food is paid for by the members. So there's a revenue to offset that expense. National teams obviously is a big issue. I've counted, in the last budget, I've divided the budget, and you have 40% of the budget is for administration and staff, 38% is for national team, and the members receive 19% of the expenses. Yet the members put in 52% of the monies, or they throw in 52% of the money that Lacrosse Canada raises or receives. That's a good contribution from the members, and in return they're getting 18 or 19% of the investments. It's what probably happened is that someone gave the key to the vault to the executive director, and it was mismanagement. It was probably someone who had huge thoughts of lacrosse becoming the world's greatest game in the span of his tenure, and who just overspent. Now, we don't have financial statements for, as you mentioned, this year, 2026, the year ending March 31st. That could also be a disaster, and the members would be left again holding the bag and saying, okay, what are we doing with all this? So I think it's much more mismanagement, overspending, and not having a reporting system on the finances. Like, there is no treasurer. Lacrosse Canada is probably the only association that doesn't have a treasurer elected by the members, reporting to the members. The treasurer is a watchdog. He's not a blind dummy that signs checks. He should ask questions. What is this? What is this expense, and how is it related to their budget? What I think happened is that Lacrosse Canada had a budget and just put it in a drawer, had the money to spend, and spent it. This is a little childish way of operating a national association. Grandiose idea, checkbook, and you sign checks and you don't report to anyone except on March 31st, where you find out, there's a disaster here. It's a dysfunctional association who overspent and who did not oversee. No one oversaw the situation. The president at this time has been on the board for 2 years, or was on the board for 2 years before becoming president. He's been president for 6 months, and all of a sudden he finds out that he didn't do his main function, which is to supervise and oversee his lone employee. The executive director is the only employee reporting to the board. The staff members report to the executive director. So the whole board and the president lack oversight over their lone employee. I mean, they didn't have 25 employees, they had one. And all of a sudden they wake up. And they'll wake up on March 31st this year also with a huge deficit. So mismanagement, lack of oversight, lack of a treasurer reporting to the members are indications of an association that just goes haywire and just does just about anything that the executive director wanted to do. The executive director is gone now. So the association has to face or look at itself in a mirror and say, we're all the board has to look at itself, the members, the staff, and say, we screwed up. We all screwed up on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, but first thing I want to say is, I don't really care if people are sitting at the bar. I know that's not exactly what you meant or what I even meant, but I just want to make it clear, as long as things are getting done, I don't care where they're getting done personally. I do understand the value of in-person meeting. What I don't understand personally is, I'm in New Brunswick, okay? And they had their meeting in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Why not put it in a more central location to bring the cost down at least, whether that be Toronto, Vancouver, wherever is closest to everybody, rather than trying to bring a meeting down to the East Coast. Another number that really jumps out at me here, and this was kind of brought in in the September meeting, is they changed they had brought up that they had spent $93,000 on their semi-annual meeting costs. So how I read that, and that was in their AGM minutes, how I read that is is that on one weekend of meetings, which I would assume would be the one they spent in Fredericton. That just seems insane to me, to spend that much money on one set of meetings, whether that be a weekend or whatever.
Yeah, the decision to hold in-person meeting, which I think are important, comes from the pressure from the members. It's the members who ask let there be those meetings. It's not the executive director all of a sudden decides, The members, because of their closeness, but also because of the distance they have between themselves, the members seem to want to be a family. There is, and trust me, there is some type of a bond between people in the game, and at the same time, these people always fight with one another. If you look at it in a way where this is a family, or this seems to be a family, where someone is out of Brunswick and someone is out of Victoria, and they wish to come together, and they don't come together there's a few people, in those meetings, all paying their way, all paying their accommodation, and coming together for a meeting. Those meetings are usually rather efficient. What happens now is that Lacrosse Canada has disbanded sector meetings, committee meetings, executive director meetings. There are many meetings of members that have been scrapped and that are not in function anymore. When I was there, I remember semi-annual meeting where there were up to 50 people working in different committees, sharing with one another, fighting with one another, obviously. Look at an Ontario dominating everything. But there were interactions, there were ideas, there were quarrels, there were debates. Is that worth the money that is spent? I don't know. But at least it was an indication that somehow someone was listening to the members. The members felt that they were being listened to, had their opportunity, made alliances with other provinces, drafted projects with other provinces. It made sense at the time. Now, I'm not aware of 93,000, but I trust you for that. There is value to in-person meeting. Obviously, there's a cost. That's a cost that someone will have to address and determine whether those meetings are valuable, are worth it, are at what price. But I don't think that's the crux of the difficulties with Lacrosse Canada. It's an expense that looks bad, sure. When you look at it, it looks bad. But it was requested by the members themselves. It was not imposed. The members feel that they're in a family or in a boat together and want to try to go somewhere together, but they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, so I just think that it probably maybe looks a little worse because of the situation we're in. I think that if we were at a balanced budget, or even we were, the Lacrosse Canada was in the positives, I don't think this would be an issue. But that's the only thing that I wanted to mention with that. But another number that I want to talk about too is the administration costs. Like, it went up from, I think, the staffing, and but the other thing that I don't like is how they lump it together, because they put employee or staffing and travel, I think, is how the line runs on the actual all the public.
Yes, they did.
But at what point we can't be running these kind of deficits no matter what, right? So somewhere you have to cut expenses. Do you cut it on the national teams, which you already, from even what you said, like they're spending less on national teams than they are on the administration. So kind of what are your thoughts on that? And is there any way we could try to, or what would you do to fix it? How would you go about fixing it?
I wouldn't run for office.
Good answer.
I mean, this is a mess.
Yeah.
Look at it. If you and your wife create a balanced budget, and you're given the key to the vault, and your wife doesn't care, you don't report, you don't tell her anything, and you run away with the content of the vault. That's kind of what happened. The membership and the board gave the key to the vault to someone who was new in office, who had the key, and who could spend without reporting to the members. So if it was the same case in your family, you're running away, you would have a new car. You would attend all sorts of parties, which he did. He attended all sorts of meetings. He was on a mission to make sure that lacrosse, at whatever cost, was going to be the greatest game in the world. So he just overspent, because it was his thing working with your money. So, I find the difficulty is not so much in the fact that it happened. The difficulty is in the fact that there was no accountability. There was no transparency. There was very little respect for the members, and someone just mismanaged with huge and great and grandiose ideas. If you run a balanced budget and you have a treasurer, you don't sign those checks. You just don't sign the checks if they are out of the budget. Nobody was there. Who signed the check? I have no idea. Who signs checks at the National Association blindly? I remember when I was working for Quebec Lacrosse, I prepared the expense statements, and the treasurer for each check that was issued was asking, what is this for? What is this for? This I know, this is for this expense. No. And where are we in the budget? So the treasurer is there to, on behalf of the members, to oversee. No one oversaw. So you had Jason with the key thinking that he was going to be rich, and he overspent and never told his wife. So the members, so your wife wakes up on March 31st and she says, Jason, we have a problem. And then you're fired. Somehow you're fired. So, let's not throw this under the rug. This is an administrative problem for the members, for the board, and for the staff. Staff knows what happened. He was running a dysfunctional association. the board is overseeing a dysfunctional association. Dysfunctional because it's centered, if I may, I'm not sure I'm answering your specific question, but the fact that we have a dysfunctional association creates a situation where we had a dysfunctional direction, a dysfunctional board. If we look at the goal, there's one goal: winning gold medal at national with the national team. That's all there is, and a lot of money is put there. Staff energy is in there, and we seem to think that if we win gold medals, it's going to increase the number of players. That is absolutely not true. It doesn't work that way. I don't know if you were looking at the Olympic Games recently. There's a discipline called skeleton, where they just run on a little luge. Would you want to do this? Would your son, or who would want to do this? Who would want to jump in the air with their skis? So the discipline is fantastic. It looked great. It's entertaining. But there has to be a structure beneath to receive the new people who wish to become members of the skeleton team. There needs to be how do you say, what's the word for the thing that they're in?
The track.
Yeah, the track. There needs to be a track.
Yeah.
There are no tracks in Canada. Okay. So it's the same for lacrosse. Lacrosse will be at the Olympic Games. Our team will either win gold or silver. We'll be happy or we'll not be happy. It's irrelevant, because the people who will watch this will say, well, where can I play? Where can I play in New Brunswick? And is New Brunswick equipped to receive, or Quebec, to receive a huge number of players? No, we're not equipped for that. We don't have the structures, the receiving structures. So running national teams without having the provinces benefit from the national team is totally dysfunctional. If you ask yourself, what has Lacrosse Canada done to ensure that the provinces will benefit from lacrosse's participation in the Olympic Games? It has done nothing. It has no plan whatsoever to benefit from the Olympic Games. No plan other than winning, or maybe winning a gold medal. If you win a gold medal, then you're going to ask for more money to remain on top. If you win the silver medal, you're going to ask for more money to catch up to those who are there. We have a national association where 3 provinces make up 80% of the membership. That's totally crazy. The 8 other provinces, like 7 plus the First Nations, they make up 20%. 8 provinces make up 20% of the membership. 75% of our members are under 17. There are no adults. There are, but there is not a significant number of adults playing the game. There is no recreational opportunities to play lacrosse. Like if you and I, well, maybe you because you're younger, but if people between 35 and 50 want to play lacrosse, they can't. There is no recreational department or operation to allow people who would want to play carry on with their stick, not run that fast, not get hit, and not necessarily wearing all the equipment. There's no opportunity for players over 33, 34, 35 to keep playing the game. So there's few adults, no recreation, no women. I mean, we're all enthused about women in sports. Across Canada is poor. 3,400 women playing lacrosse in Canada. That's 6.5% of the national membership. Very few women, no recreational component, no adults playing the game. 75% of our members are kids. That creates a situation where the image of our game is through kids and the odd national team who wins gold or silver. So it's totally dysfunctional. It's a 3-province operation that could carry on forever because they'll supply players. The 3 provinces will supply players to the national teams. The development camps across Canada will recruit players from Ontario and BC and the odd Albertan. And if ever, someone from Nova Scotia. But that won't happen. So Lacrosse Canada can idly sit there and say, we're very functional because our national teams are successful. Bravo. They are. I'm very proud. And so are you. And I'm not mocking, it's fun when you win. It's fun. But what after? What before and what after? And a functional national association would worry about New Brunswick having only 245 players. It would help, a national association would help the small provinces or the smaller provinces who have a potential for development. Brunswick, Quebec, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Nova Scotia have potential. There's a population, but the number of lacrosse players is non-significant compared to the populations. What if there was a plan by the National Association to help get those 5 provinces together and say, okay, we're going to go from 800 or whatever, from 800 to 1,600. How can we do this? We're going to go in Nova Scotia from 2,000 to 3,500. How can we do this? That's not done. There is no relationship. There's no functional relationship between the National Association and the provinces, and development is left to the provinces. National Association just cleans its hand from development, though they claim that they're responsible for the development of the game. There is no developmental plan. None whatsoever. In the upcoming budget, if you have the opportunity to look at it, there is not a penny towards development, towards those who don't already play. Lacrosse Canada defines development as supporting those who are there, supporting the coaches to become better coaches, the officials to become better officials. That's fine. But that is not development. That's inbreeding. Inbreeding is just amongst ourselves. Let's just remain amongst ourselves as a close-knit family. There is no concern for development towards the school system, development towards the cities where there is no lacrosse, where there are no lacrosse associations. The concept of development is amongst ourselves, a good inbreeding, and that is seen when we're talking about meetings, in-person meeting. It's the same thing. It's this inbreeding process of where we wish to remain amongst ourselves. We're fearful of newcomers. We're fearful of the school system. We're fearful of having too many players. We protect a sport that has a great tradition. That's not the point. But we protect more than we develop. We're defensive more than we are offensive. We're threatened instead of being a threat. So we have a national association which is a mess, just a mess. It doesn't understand its mandate. And it sits and watches every other national sport thriving to develop, to penetrate the school system, to be on television with information about where can you play. Softball does it, baseball does it, basketball does it, tennis does it, pickleball does it, and we don't. We're the National Association up on our ivory tower, and we confirm that the development is up to the provinces, and the provinces are not equipped to develop. So this situation is just a mess. It's going on, and it will carry on unless there are changes in the vision for the game. Imagine if Lacrosse Canada had a vision that said lacrosse in every arena, on every gymnasium, and on every field throughout Canada. Not in Ontario, throughout Canada. Not in Canada, throughout Canada. If that was the vision, one would be enthused saying, we're developing. No, the vision is we want to have a community that is vibrant. We're inbreeding. We're not concerned with outsiders. We don't want outsiders in our game. The fact that Lacrosse Canada and the provinces do nothing to systematically penetrate the school system is just sad. It's terrible. Every other sport tries to penetrate the school system. Imagine for a minute if, knowing that we're going to be in the Olympic, if you're a school teacher, okay, you teach whatever grade in high school. You don't really know about lacrosse because you've never heard about it. You've seen the odd thing, you know it's a violent sport. That's really all that you know. And it was played by North American Indians. That's what you know. But imagine if every teacher in Canada, and there's quite a few, received from Lacrosse Canada, through the provinces or with the provinces, a lesson plan saying, Jason, you're teaching, and in August 2028, there will be an Olympic, and lacrosse will be part of it. Now, here is the documentation that we can give you as a teacher because you teach history, or you teach geography, or you teach social science, or you're a phys ed teacher. Here's the information about lacrosse. Here's the tradition about this great game. You never heard about that. Now you receive these lesson plans, and every other history, geography, social science, and phys ed teacher receives some type of lesson plans with documentation about this great game. You might put it aside and say, I'm not interested. But you might say, my kids, my students will see these things at the Olympic Games, and I have the opportunity to say, okay, in terms of history, because guys, we're teaching history, there's a thing called lacrosse that is part of our tradition, that is part of our history. If you teach geography, there's a game that's going to be called at the Olympic Games there, and as a geography teacher, here's what I can tell you about the movement of people, the movement of Aboriginals, and the game that they played. If you're a social science teacher, you might be interested in having your kids, your students, know that there's a spiritual relationship to what is called the creator in this game. And you might tell your kids, your students, this thing that we're talking about, you'll see it in Los Angeles. No, That is not a concern, neither with the provinces nor with Lacrosse Canada. Penetrating the school system academically is a huge opportunity for us to have captive clients. The students, they're captive clients. There are millions of kids in schools. We prefer to turn towards our 1,000 members and just cater to our 52,000 members and listen to their complaints and overspend on their behalf. This game is in jail. This game is led by people who are mentally in jail. They can't see outside their prison. But there's a few inmates, so the inmates are having fun together, are enjoying their time together in jail. It's a disappointment, really.
Yeah, I mean, you make some really solid points. I will say, Lacrosse Canada came down here and put on a program last summer. Was the biggest one in all of Canada for turnout. It was in Moncton. Moncton's very centered compared to the East Coast, so a lot of people from Nova Scotia came in, a lot of people from New Brunswick, a lot of people from PEI. Another thing that's going on right now in Moncton specifically, Eric Murray is the president here. He has done a lot for Moncton lacrosse, in lacrosse New Brunswick as well. He set up a goalie camp, no cost to any goalies, and we had people all the way from PEI coming. So there is, I can tell you just from what I'm seeing, there is a big craving for this stuff, and I think getting in the schools is great. And you make a really good point by saying, yeah, they're going after the people that were already signed up, but we're not really looking at and investing in going into schools and trying to get more kids that have no idea what lacrosse is, because that's what I find the biggest thing is nobody even thinks to sign up for lacrosse because they don't know what it is. Because my kid started playing last year. He's got about 5 friends now that have watched him and now are signing up this year. So it's really just about exposure. But what do you think? What would you say a strong Lacrosse Canada?
Can I cut you off here?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have the paper in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Brunswick is the province that has grown the most.
Yes.
From very few to, I wouldn't know the number now, but I could find it. If I was clever, I would have had it for you. New Brunswick is the small province that has grown the most, percentage-wise. It's not significant if you compare it to Ontario. Obviously, they've got 13, 14, 18,000 players. You have 450, whatever. But there has been, in the last few years, a concerted effort in New Brunswick to increase the number of players. Quebec is going downhill. They're down to 800 players. Saskatchewan is maintaining. Nova Scotia has peaked at 2,500 players. That's fantastic. But without insulting anyone, it's irrelevant compared to the possibility. And I'm not putting anybody down here. I'm not saying Nova Scotia is irrelevant. That's not what I'm saying. But the numbers are irrelevant compared to the options that we have to increase the number of players. And those future players are all in school. They're all in school. And we failed somehow to penetrate this market. It's a huge market, and we're not investing in what is our gold mine. It's a gold mine. I think one of the reasons we're not doing that is because we are comfortable together. We're just downright comfortable with one another, and we don't want more people in our game. It's this very, very sad approach where there's a lot of words. Oh, yeah, sure. Everybody's talking about growing the game. The game is growing. Grow the game. The game is not growing. If it is growing, it's growing by 1,000 more kids. 652 more kids this year. That's fantastic. No, it's not fantastic. Sure, it's more, but it's nothing. It's irrelevant compared to the potential. Absolutely irrelevant. We picked up one gold nugget and we're happy, but there are thousands of gold nuggets in the mine that underneath. That's the school system. What impedes, not the correct word, but why does Lacrosse Canada not, with the provinces, concentrate on putting one lacrosse person in each school? Just say, okay, Jason, you're with the Holy Mary School somewhere, and your job is to start a lacrosse team. Not next year, not tomorrow. Your job is to be there and as a volunteer, and then all of a sudden you manage to get 15, 18 kids, and then you play sixes or you play field lacrosse, and then the school starts paying you because coaches in schools are paid. They're not paid in Fredericton or Moncton or Laval. They're volunteers. But once you get into a school, then you're not getting thousands of dollars. Mind you, that's not the case. But you're getting paid, and you're supervised by the phys ed director, the school vice principal, so you can't be a crazy coach. You have to work with ethics. You have to work with organization. You have to work with class and with respect. And then all of a sudden, Jason McDonald is the coach at Holy Mary School, and his field team wins the provincial championship. Why don't we do this in every school? What's the plan to place someone in every school in Canada someone who will be not very successful at the start. It doesn't happen that quickly. But with promo within the school, there's an option there. Every school should have a lacrosse team. Not necessarily a box team, because it's quite difficult. But a sixes, a women's team, a women's field team, a men's field team, a juvenile team, or whatever age group. That's where the players are in school.
Yeah, absolutely. I know schools are a little, for whatever reason, I was just talking to the president about this here, because we are associated not with the schools, but we call them, like, it's like the Trojans, like the two schools called the Trojans. So Moncton specifically does like a team from the Trojans, and then all those players are from the school will go play for the Trojans, but it's technically they're not involved because the school, it's hard to get into. So I think if Lacrosse Canada was to partner, that would help push that in, right? Because I can tell you the associations in town, from what I know, are trying to get into the schools, and the schools are a little bit apprehensive. But if we had an association, national association, also trying to help us push that through, I think that would give them more credibility.
And it might be easier if the teachers in that school, who are busy, they're busy, okay? They're not looking for lacrosse but if the teachers were somehow presented with an option, hey, the lesson plan, it makes a lot of sense, and there's a history to this, and there are videos that are accessible, and I can push a button and see, oh, that's what lacrosse is all about. Oh, yeah. You have 2 years to do that, but you've had 4 years to do that. We haven't done it. The point is, we have to look outside of our existing members. We have to have this desire for this game to be played or known or appreciated by Canadians. It's not. It's appreciated by our friends and our neighbors and our members and their family, and that's it. That is absolutely it. So somehow the National Association needs to determine that the future of the game is not within the game. The future of the game is outside the game, but we don't wish to go outside the game. We're not looking at development. We're looking at inbreeding.
So do you think, in your opinion, do you think this is salvageable, or do you think this is something we need to just blow up and start a whole new association and kind of, go from there?
I would never blow up
Yeah.
something that is existent because of the tradition, because of the people who are there. But I would blow up their minds, saying, listen, we're not on the right path. We're missing the boat. Everybody else is looking at the school system. Everybody else is looking at recreational opportunities within their game. We're not. We're centered upon our national team and high performance and the greatness of our game and this player here, this player there, or the National Lacrosse League. But we're not, if the National Lacrosse League was a solution to the development of the game, we would have 1,000 more players here and there. And Nova Scotia would be booming with players. Ottawa would be booming with players. Oshawa would be having thousands of lacrosse players, but that's not the case. That's a show. The National Lacrosse League is like the circus. If you attend a circus, do you wish to be a lion tamer tomorrow? Do you wish to put your head in the lion's mouth and have hundreds of people applaud you? That's the National Lacrosse League. A fantastic show. That's not the point. But it's not a developmental tool. We target ourselves, improve within our associations. We have better coaches. Yeah, well, that's very good. Okay. But what if we had a team in every school, a women's team in every school? They would not be members. Obviously, they would not be paying members. That might be a problem, but it's not a huge problem. The game would be recognized across Canada because every school would have their sweater saying Holy Mary Lacrosse, whatever that means. But that's not happening. It's not happening. Students in Canada don't know if there is a game called lacrosse that is going to be played in the Olympic Games. They don't know that. Trust me, they don't. Walk outside your city somewhere and say, have you ever seen a lacrosse? No. But presenting our game with its qualities, its tradition, the spirituality of it for Aboriginals, what it means. Don't tell me you can't get into the school with an Aboriginal content to something these days. This is a huge opportunity. The Aboriginals have played their politically very, very well. But we haven't appreciated what they've done to the point where we take it upon ourselves to bring their spirituality, their tradition, their history towards our history teachers, our geography teachers, our social science teachers, our phys ed teachers across Canada. There are thousands of those. There are thousands of those people who know nothing about the game or care nothing about the game because they know nothing. That's the target for development. Lacrosse Canada overspends on itself. It doesn't overspend on strategies to penetrate the school system. It doesn't. And it very, very barely spends anything on strategies to develop the game in Nova Scotia, Quebec, or in Saskatchewan. They look down. Sometimes they run, okay. They run something in New Brunswick. Great. And the turnout is good. It's good, but it's irrelevant compared to the potential. That's my point. And I'm not putting New Brunswick down here. Understand me. That's not what I'm doing. I'm saying you've done a good job, brought in probably a few more players, and you did bring in a few more players. But it's irrelevant compared to the potential in New Brunswick of kids that could know about the game, and eventually play this very game. We're doing inbreeding strategies. We're amongst ourselves. We're within some type of a box, and we are comfortable together. We're comfortable fighting together. We're comfortable with our deficits. We're comfortable with the lies that we are told. But we're together because we're lacrosse. A sinking ship where people stick together instead of trying to put it afloat. That's the correct word. Having it float and going somewhere. We're going nowhere. We're going absolutely nowhere. And I would not blow it up, but I would suggest that we look at who we are, what we do, what we say, what the values that we profess. This is absolutely terrible. Lacrosse Canada is supposed to be accountable. They pledge accountability. They pledge transparency. They pledge respect. Search for it.
So do you think then, if we see another massive deficit like we did last year especially, do you think that we look at cleaning house, like getting rid of a lot of these board members and bringing in new faces that can kind of try to steer the ship straight?
Jason, if you and your wife...
Oh, it's Jacob. Sorry, it's Jacob. But
what did I say?
Jason, it's all good, man. I get that all the time. It's all good. Oh, it's all good, man. Yeah.
Would your wife not start saying, Jacob, what the hell are you doing? How good are you with our money? You have the key to the vault, but I haven't seen anything. In every association, the ball is always in the members' court. It's the members. Lacrosse Canada reports to the members. It's not the opposite. It's not the members that will report to Lacrosse Canada. So the ball is in the members' court. What they will do, what they will not do, will determine what the association will be. If your wife doesn't kick you out because you've mismanaged the money, then she is part of the problem. The members need to, and they have a members' council. There is no money to support the members' council. The members throw in thousands of dollars, over $1 million, throw into Lacrosse Canada. There is not one penny going to their association, the members' council, the presidents. The members' council is made up by the presidents of every provincial association. These are sharp people, good people. There might be someone who doesn't understand what's happening, but these are good people, and they reflect what their own membership says. There's not a penny to support their organization so that they can come together, assess the situation, and ask for change. They're just there. They're there.
So yeah, I completely agree. I think that we do need to hold these people more accountable, and that's what I'm trying to do, obviously. And I'm telling you, nobody else is talking about this, and it's kind of, I think what happens is in this community is it's almost like there's a lot of people who are integrated and don't want to say the wrong thing, or are friends with these people, or at least maybe where they're on like a peer level, and nobody really wants to say anything bad about anybody. And I'm not trying to speak bad about anybody. I'm sure you're not either. But I just want accountability to be held. And when I see these numbers, it terrifies me about where the future of this is going.
You see, my colleague Brad Joseph and I started this thing called Think Lacrosse. And at first we wrote about the game and the beauty of it, and then all of a sudden we started watching what's going on. Think Lacrosse has no relationship with anyone. Like, we're not on anybody's payroll. We're just two guys that created a website, and then it's the opportunity to speak your mind, to speak freely, to be critical without being on anybody's payroll. So what we're doing at Think Lacrosse is putting forward things that are true, that are factual, and we're giving opinions on it, as you do with your podcasts. Very few people seem to talk or write about lacrosse. There's a lot of people who read what we write. There's a lot of people at Lacrosse Canada who read in the provinces who read. Eventually, something will happen. But I find most people in lacrosse are more interested in cradling the stick, playing the game. That's what we want to do. We want to play the game. We want to get the game played. And we don't care how it's administered. We don't really care who are the people who are running it and what directions they're taking us into, because we're local people concentrated in our team, and this requires a lot of energy. I mean, I ran a team, and it requires a huge amount of energy, emotional energy, physical energy, financial energy. People are concerned with their local association, their team, their Bantam team, or their whatever team, and the vision for the game is limited. It's limited to their preoccupation. It's limited to their association. It's limited to their provincial association or their interests. But a vision for the game, very few people talk about the vision for the game. Lacrosse Canada talks about the vision for the game, but it's a blind vision. It's a vision with a man with a white cane.
Well, one of the things I remember reading while I was looking into this was they got some of their funding didn't come through because they didn't have what they considered to be like a proper goal that they were headed towards. They were kind of just, there's no proper plan. So that's another financial stressor. And I think they all probably also looked at the financial situation they were in, with like, why we're giving these guys money if they're just kind of misspending it. That's just my take on it, not actually what I read. It's my paraphrasing. But look at this stuff. It's just it doesn't look great to me. Is the best way I can explain it.
Yeah, you see, Sport Canada, which is the funding agency, does not intervene within the internal affairs of a corporation. It allows the members to pick up. There's a thing called the Canadian Lacrosse Foundation, which has a few dollars in the bank. They've stopped giving money to Lacrosse Canada because of mismanagement. They don't invest in it anymore. They did in the past. They dearly supported Lacrosse Canada in the past. Now they're not doing that. So that withdrawal, Sport Canada's withdrawal, the possible arrival of people from police associations, if there has been mismanagement or theft, is going to ruin Lacrosse Canada's reputation. I mean, imagine if the RCMP, if there was theft, okay, I'm not saying there is, if there was theft, then the RCMP comes in and then we're asking questions. It doesn't really look very, very good, So the only people who can do something about it are the board members who were there when it happened, who did not oversee what happened, and the members, the provincial presidents, and the people behind them. They need together to clean up their act and make this association functional. Does it mean changing people? Probably. But it means mostly looking at our strategic plan, which is absolutely ridiculous. The strategic plan has no specific goals, no measurable goals, no goals to enthuse anyone. Now, if you read the strategic plan, if ever you have time for that, you go at it and then you'll say, okay, word salad. But if the strategic plan called for your passion, because the goal would be to increase the number of players to penetrate the school system, to increase our visibility, and if that was this type of goals, they talk to you, those goals. They mean something for you. But what we now have is pillars upon which the association rests, with no specific goal and no measurable goals. So at the end of the year, anybody can claim success because the goals are not measurable. Anybody can say, we had a fantastic year. It was a fantastic year. A little deficit here and there, but it was fantastic. But what did we achieve? Nobody answers that. If you read the annual reports of the board members, there is never an achievement for a goal. We've done this, we've done that, we've done this, and we were very successful with this clinic. But related to the goals, the inexistent goals, non-measurable goals, anybody can say anything. So you have a strategic plan, which is word salad, and then at the end of the year, you have a national report, which is word salad. And probably the members like salad or love salad because they take it and they accept it. The ball is in the members. They are the ones who can solicit change. As in political life, the ball is always in the citizens' hands. They are the ones who eventually will create new leadership, a new vision, new plans, new measurable goals, new financial accountability, new transparency, and new respect. But this is not happening. Or it will take time if it is to happen. I wouldn't blow it up. I would just say the ball is in your court. Here are the factors. Here are the things that are happening, and you can change it. It's not Pierre Filion. It's not Jacob McDonald. It's the grouping of the members. That's the solution. That's where the ball is. So the next few days will be for all of us to watch. Will the president resign? Will other board members resign? Will they all, as in Hockey Canada, all collectively resign and fade away? Or will they say, no, we're taking the bull by the horns, and here's what we want to do. We want to change this association. We're not going to hire someone and give him the key to the vault. We will have a national treasurer. We'll be accountable. The next few days are going to be quite interesting.
So, where would you go from this? Where do you think that we should go, and how do we go about fixing this?
Well, I wouldn't go. I write for Think Lacrosse. The members' council is made up of the provincial presidents. They are the ones that hold the possibility to change the strategic plan, implement the values, facilitate the budget, create relevant programs of development outside. The members are the one who can elect people who will follow those lines, who will change the association. The members must select better people who will run a better association. There's a political change that needs to happen but there's a change in attitude towards the game, the members, and the development of the game. It's an attitude change, going away from inbreeding process of love-hate relationship amongst one another, and having the decency to look at the millions of Canadians who know nothing about the game and who would love it if they were informed and they couldn't play it. The change is a political change, and that political change will bring in new leaders, a new executive director, and a staff that will be concerned with development. What needs to happen is in meetings. You had this say that meetings cost a lot of money. Meeting of members can be an investment towards change. So there'll need to be a little bit of money spent there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I must say, I'm not very optimistic. I love the game. You love the game. We all love the game. I'm not very optimistic that relevant change will happen because I think the forces of death are stronger than the forces of life in our game. The inbreeding processes and attitudes are stronger in our game than looking outside, bringing in new people. So we're in a love-hate relationship with one another, with the game. We're in a love-hate relationship with the game. And we lack the vision to see that there are more people outside than us. There are more people outside our game than people inside our game. And we're concerned mostly with the people inside our game, with our hate towards one another, with our love towards one another, and with our dreams. I'm not very optimistic, but from the outside, I look at it with fantastic interest. I mean, this is a passionate relationship with an association that is going nowhere. Sadly, going nowhere. I can't change it. I've done my time. The members, the ball is in the members' court. The provincial presidents carry the ball.
Well, I can tell you, I'm going to do my best to do what I can to change it because I don't like what this is having. I have the gusto to do it. And, I've still got my son's just young still. He's only 11, so he's got a long road ahead in this, and I want to pave the future for him very well. So, if you could sit down with Lacrosse Canada leadership today, what is some of the first things you'd say? What would you kind of give them advice on?
Well, first, nobody has ever asked me for any advice,
Yeah.
And I'm not looking for Lacrosse Canada to talk to me because I'm irrelevant. I'm just a guy who's been a few years in the game, putting his 2 bits on the website, and that's my contribution to the game. If ever I had the opportunity, I would start with the vision. The vision for the game at this time, or what Lacrosse Canada professes, is a vision for amongst ourselves. We need to be a vibrant community. That's basically what our vision is. Our vision is for our association to be vibrant. Our association needs to know that there are fields, arenas, and gymnasiums in Canada, and that there are millions of kids. So we're concerned about ourselves. We're within our box. We're within our family. So first, I would somehow suggest that we look outside. Just look outside. We're all white in this game. Funny, huh? We're all white. And we're all men. Trust me, there are a few women in Canada. I mean, 50% of the population is made up of women. We only have 6% of our membership, which are women. What's wrong with this? It's because we're concerned about ourselves. We're just interested in one another. The vision for the game needs to be understood as a vision for a fantastic game to be played by every Canadian. Every Canadian could or should play the game. So the first change, I think, is in vision. And then you need people who understand that vision, who share that vision, and who wish to be elected and run the operations. But the first thing is to say, let's stop our inbreeding process. Let's get away from our limited love-hate relationship with one another, and let's somehow look outside. Look out, open the windows, open the doors, openings. That would be the first thing. The rest is either political things or administrative things, as we've talked about, a treasurer and goals and honest staff members. We've talked about that. That will happen only if the vision changes and if people who share that vision are there. That's the dream. You get people involved if there is a dream, a realistic dream with a realistic vision, not a vision for you and I to be vibrant and in love or in hate with one another. That's totally irrelevant to the game. So our ship needs to know where it's going and have a vision for its future. Our ship at this time is catering to the people on board. We're catering to people who are on board. We're putting chairs on decks, and we're going nowhere. There's an anchor, and then we're on a nice ship, a great ship going down there.
Where do you think we go from here to make this situation positive, or how can Lacrosse Canada, I guess, turn this around, and what does it look like if we do move into a positive solution going forward? What will this situation look like in 2 to 3 years to you?
That's a general question about the future. First, we need to realize that we can't ask the members to pay more. They're really skinned. They're being asked to bring in over $1 million. That's a lot of money from the members. Sport Canada will eventually ask a question: what's going on here? The Lacrosse Foundation has already somehow withdrawn itself slightly from supporting it. We're not surrounded by sponsors. Sponsors are not knocking on Lacrosse Canada's door. They're not, absolutely not. Our partnerships are limited, very limited. We have a few partnerships, but we're limited. So collectively, we need to realize that we're not doing what we should do as a national association. We're not carrying through a vision for the future with relevant programs. That's what we're not doing that. We're concerned with our national teams, and everybody in Canada has pride for national. We all love our national teams. We don't know who the players are, but we know they're from Ontario, and we know they might win gold. That cannot carry us through to the future. Winning gold medals is great. It's a moment of pride. It's a moment of visibility. It's great partnership with the players that are there. It creates bonds amongst themselves. Our concentration at the national level for national team is important. But at this time, it's too much. It's just too much. We have too many national teams. I think we have 7 or 8 national teams. Can you imagine a game of 52,000 players has 7 or 8 national teams? It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And it's going to create more investment. Solicit more contribution from the members. The members have to say enough is enough. Where we go depends on the strategic plan that will be drafted to erase this one and just start just draft a strategic plan which will be drafted with the provinces, not just by the president and 2 of his colleagues, or 3. Provincial presidents, provincial staff could be involved in the national plan and take ownership of the national plan. At this time, there is no ownership. The ownership is with the president and his colleagues who've drafted the plan, which is not a plan. So bring in those people. It's going to cost a little bit of money, as you're aware of, for a meeting of the minds, the people who are thinking, the thinking people in the game. Put them together and just start anew. This plan here, this strategic plan, doesn't enthuse anyone. Nobody knows about it. Nobody knows about it. I've read it and I don't even remember what it's there because it's so the word salad. So that would be the start. And then the other point is support the provinces. The provinces do not have resources sufficient to carry through whatever plan there might be to develop the game. Provinces will recruit, will have open house sessions in every association, and they'll bring in 15 new players. In the Laval Association or the Longueuil Association or the Fredericton Association will grow by 75 players, and we'll think that, hey, we've grown. Yes, we've grown. The provinces don't have the human, the financial resources, the structure to develop the game. So someone has to realize that and stop saying development belongs to the provinces. That's their responsibility. Maybe it is, but it's a national concern. Provincial development is a national concern, just like the national teams are a national concern. But the national teams don't bring in more players. The provinces could bring in more players if they were a legitimate concern. At this time, there is not $1 in the 26-27 budget for provincial development, for support to the province. Not one single penny. A national plan would, if it was drafted properly, would create the resources for the provinces to grow.
Yeah,
National plan. A national plan would also create the resources to penetrate the school system.
Yeah, nobody's really brought that up in the way you're saying it to me. I've never heard anybody really mention that, but you make some really good, strong points about that, and definitely, I think you're right on the right track. Honestly, I think that's exactly what we need to do.
So do I.
And, I just think this needs to be fixed quicker, like sooner than later kind of deal. And it just needs to be addressed. And it seems like a lot of people are sweeping this under the rug and just telling, everyone's saying, oh, just wait till the process goes through. But how much are we going to bleed here before, you can only bleed so much before everything just implodes. And then we're even in a worse situation. So I think there needs to be a little bit more urgency behind people getting this story out there and answers to be had as well.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the coming days will be very, very interesting. There'll be all political days. There'll be political events, that the lacrosse community will probably never hear of. The guy who is in Winnipeg trying to get his 12-year-olds together, because we have a season to play, he won't hear about, But the coming days will be very relevant for the future of the game because the opportunities, there'll be a member council meeting soon. The opportunities are there. Whenever there is a disaster, I have to tell you this. I have a friend who's become a mentor to me, and when I was working with the Quebec Federation, I was snowed under with all sorts of problems, as every staff member is. And violence was one of the problems that I was faced with. And there were bench clearing brawls, and that's not good for the game. And I asked him, how can I solve this? And his answer was, what happens is not the issue. The issue is what you do for it not to happen again. So the bench clearing brawl where we all go crazy because we can't stop it, and that brawl in itself is not the issue. The issue is what Pierre Filion in his office does for it not to happen again. So however terrible the situation is at Lacrosse Canada, however bad the upcoming financial statement will be in relationship to the other financial statements and huge deficits, that's not the issue. Sure, it's a problem. Sure, there'll be juicy details about how we spent the money. There'll be an accusation of fraud, and there'll be all sorts of rumors flying around. That's not the issue. The issue is what we, as a community, can do or must do for it not to happen again. So the ball is in the board court, and the ball is in the members' council court. What they will do or not do will make it that those events will or will not happen again. The whole issue is political. Our game is in a political vacuum, and the decisions of the next coming days will mark the future of our game. It will not determine who will play and who will win the Men's Cup. It will not determine who will play for the Minto Cup. But it will determine the direction that our game is taking. Whether we wish to remain amongst ourselves, comfortable, uncomfortable, yelling at one another, loving one another, that could be an option. That could be an option. Just replace a few guys, change a few things. That could be an option. The challenge is more fundamental. The challenge is far superior to what the problem is. The challenges for our game are immense, and there could be huge progress. We don't need to concentrate on the problem. We know the problem. We know the deficits. We know the mismanagement. We know the game is going nowhere. We know we're not looking outside. We know that. That's the problem. What we do about it collectively, and the Members' Council is the forum for it to start. What they will do in their meetings will determine whether we are in a good ship doing parties with one another, going to the bar, as you say, or whether we pull up the anchor and we move somewhere. At this time, we're just stepping on our toes and going nowhere. We're absolutely going nowhere. It's a sad situation for the game. The coming days will be very, very interesting politically. As I said, they won't change the cup, but they'll change the future of the game.
Okay,
we'll see.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of ask you this then. So, do you think the current members that we have now are able to move forward and correct the ship, correct the situation, or do you think that we should be looking at replacing a lot of these people?
I don't personally know the provincial presidents. I would have a hard time naming them. What I do know is that if they had the foresight and courage to ask the president to resign, if they have the wisdom to see that two influential and highly qualified board members resigned, if they see this, they know they're qualified because they were elected and because they listened to their members. They're qualified. They're the ones. Would a province need to replace his president or her president because of mismanagement and fraud provincially? I don't know. I don't know the situation in Manitoba. I don't know the situation in Saskatchewan. But I see the numbers. I see where they're going. I see where they're not going. And I know they don't have resources. That I do know. I was with Quebec and we had no resources. I was the resource. That's it. So we're all walking on a wire with no resource and with a little bar trying to make sure that we get to the end of the wire. We're all in very uncomfortable positions. The provincial presidents are, their staff members are. No one is comfortable at this time. But someone, and that's the provincial president, they're the ones who need to make the change. The political change, and then afterward, the changes in vision, the change in plan, the change in development, the change in priorities. The ball is in the provincial court. I hope they can. They've shown so far the wisdom to ask the president to resign, and he'll be coming back to the members' council with his decision to resign or not, and then they'll have a big ball on their court. They'll have a big ball to take care of. But that's where the change must come from, the provincial president.
Anyway, Pierre, thank you very much for being on, man. Is there anything we missed that you think that we didn't go over here?
Well, if you have the winning number of the lottery, let me know. I think, listen, that's my opinion, okay? I present it with the facts that I have, with the facts that I know. What I don't know, I don't know. And there are a lot of things that I don't know about the inside of the discussions. I don't know, you know. If someone calls me, I listen. I listen to what is said. I read the documents. I read the statements, and I see what's going on, and I see what is not going on. That's my contribution to the game at this time. I'm not going to run for office. There's no way I'm going to run for office. But I trust eventually that the good people or the bright people who have a larger concern than the inbreeding concern that we all have. The larger concerns will run for office and change the operation. Am I optimistic? Not very. But do I trust that the provincial presidents will do well? Yes, I trust that they will do well until I find out that they don't. But I trust that, you know, these are credible people. They know. They should know. Hopefully what we write might help, might be of assistance, might create new vision for the game. Hopefully. I'll keep doing this with the information that I have. But as I say, the next days will be either the start of something or just we'll follow up, love and hate one another, and just carry on with our limited vision for our game. It's sad because it's such a great game. I mean, it's a sad situation. Let's remain optimistic. Let's try to be optimistic.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. And you brought up some really good points today that even made me think that I haven't even thought of. So I appreciate your time. I'll be keeping an eye out on the stuff coming out. I'll be keeping an eye out on Think Lacrosse to keep me updated as well on your stuff. And if there's anything I can do for you, you let me know.
Thank you.
Let me know, man.
Very much. It was a pleasure being here.
Yes, absolutely.
It was a little difficult for me because English is not my mother tongue, and sometimes
you did fantastic.
Let's forget that. You take care, and just remember one more thing. It's go Habs go.
Okay, I can't agree with you there, but hey, I appreciate you being on, man.
You take care. Thank you very much.
You too. All right, so that was Pierre Filion. Thank you very much from Think Lacrosse. Loved having him on the show. You know, again, anytime I get to talk to these people, man, like, he's very knowledgeable. He's been around the lacrosse world for a long time. Obviously, battling that Ontario, you know, really, he's right when he says it's like really 3 associations that control lacrosse Canada, right? And I mean, I do understand numbers wise, I do understand that's just the reality of it, but it would be nice to kind of, you know, obviously maybe if we could, I think if Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI all could come together, and maybe even Newfoundland could all come together. Actually, I'm not even sure if Newfoundland has an association, to be honest with you, but either or, if all the East Coast provinces come together, we might be able to have a better seat at the table almost, rather than, and a little bit more sway, rather than just kind of all staying separate and just getting walked all over, right? So that's something to think about. Is curious. Now, I will say that, you know, Lacrosse Canada does do a lot of good things too. They are doing a lot of good, and I'm interested to see what they're going to do with camps. I mean, I personally like the camps myself. I think they do help. I thought like the one in Canada or the one in Moncton last year was the biggest turnout from all the camps all over. It's because we're craving lacrosse stuff down here. That's why, like, you know, as much as I would love to go start my own training program, I'm not that guy, guys. Like, I'm just not. I'm a guy who sits here and talks about the game because I never played it. But, like, I reached out to one of the players that I know, and I said, hey, man, like, because he's from down here. I said, hey, man, like, we just had a goalie clinic of 20 goalies, right, that were, you know, that just showed up. Now, yes, it was a free clinic. In all fairness, it was a free clinic. But they came from PI, Nova Scotia, all over New Brunswick to come to Moncton to do a goalie clinic. And this is like every week for whatever, I think 6 weeks or whatever it's going to be. But this is like something that Moncton is putting into. We've got a couple guys. Moncton has got some really dedicated people. And I think a lot of these associations do. I think they have these super dedicated people that make it run. And that's where we're at with Moncton. We have some really good people. They'll probably eventually have on my show because I think it's important to spotlight these people, right? And Moncton is the best lacrosse in New Brunswick. I don't care what anybody says. I know I'm going to hit the hate on from St. John and Fredericton, but we're going to do a little bit of rivalry here. So, and I know I'm going to get chirped at this season going into these tournaments because I guarantee you, I already know there's people from St. John that have seen my stuff. So we're going to be talking some mad shit when we go to fucking place tournaments, boys. But anyway, no, Pierre was great though. And, you know, obviously I'm just talking shit, but we do have to stick together. This is so hypocritical after I just talked all this shit. Oh my God, that's funny. But we do have to stick together and try to band together and try to make lacrosse in East Coast better. And, like I said, even to, obviously, like, our junior A is essentially junior B. I think everybody can understand that. I don't think that's I think when everybody says that, it kind of comes off as like, oh my God, you don't want to make the East Coast look bad. It's like, it's not making it look bad. It's making it look realistic. Let's get there. We'll get there, guys. There was a time where Alberta wasn't really involved in this either, right? And they kind of they built their programs up and became, like a legit contender. Now there aren't as many teams there, obviously, but there's still a force to be reckoned with, especially those new West guys, right? So, with that being said, I'm hoping that we can build something like that down here. But even if we could put an East Coast team together and send that to Junior A, so you had all the best players in the East Coast play against, and that could include Quebec. So Quebec, like I said, Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, all come together, get a super team together of all the best lacrosse players that are under, that junior level, and let them go play for the Minto. Right? And I don't know if this would be allowed. I might be talking on my ass here a little bit, but that'd be cool. That would be cool to see, right? Now, we are going to get a chance to play in the Founders, and we're going to probably, unfortunately, get blown out of the fucking water because that's what happens every year. But at least it's down here, and I'm really hoping we can pull this off. And because this is the thing, everybody kind of just like laughs at the East Coast lacrosse a little bit. And East Coast lacrosse is good lacrosse. I'm telling you, I've seen these kids, and I'm going to start highlighting as many of them as I possibly can, because I think where my talent comes in and what I need to try to leverage is to leverage these kids that, leverage them up and try to get them seen. Because I think that a lot of times what happens is kids just don't know where to go here, right? Or they play hockey. I'm telling you, if there's a pipeline from here that can go to Ontario, that can go, especially in New Brunswick, because like you said, like Eric said in my last podcast, like there's a lot of players that come. There has been some players that leave to go play, but it's few and far between, and I don't think the pipeline's really there yet. So I'm hoping to help push people through. Because like I said, like there was this kid that next time I go to my kid's ACE program there, shout out the ACE program. My kid's in it right now. It's through Lacrosse New Brunswick, and they're getting kids ready for the season. They do a fantastic job. The program they put together is amazing. They do a virtual session and an in-person session. Like this is like some, you know what I mean? It was great, and it really wasn't that expensive. Like I think it was like $300, and it's like I think it's like 12 sessions or something with like the virtual and the in person. So like when I look at it, I'm like the value there is I think it's fantastic personally, right? So especially when I see other sports and what I pay for cheer and stuff, I think it's pretty good value. So anyway, I'm kind of getting off topic. I'm very like all over the place right now. But thank you, Pierre Filion, for coming on the show. Really appreciate you. It got me thinking as always. I love that. And I'm sure I'm going to be in coordinates with you because we're through email friends now. And I feel like every time I meet somebody on my show, like I invite them on, after that, we just end up talking and we're just like, we could become friends. So I love these guys. I love this whole community. And, if I can help anybody out, I definitely would love to help people out. So I'm hoping his stuff gets more looked at now that I'm seeing it. And like he said, it's not all about numbers. It's about who's looking at your stuff. And he can see who looks at his stuff. And it's the people that are, when you see certain people looking at your stuff, you know that you've done something right. And that's the thing, right? When people are reading your stuff, you know you've done something right. So anyway, I've wasted enough of this time rambling on. Let's get right into the actual episode of, now hopefully this is working, and this isn't working. So we're going to have to use our phone for that. So first off, let's check with the standings. All right, so let's put this up here like this. All right, so starting off strong, we're going to start with the scores of the week just to get everybody up to date that's still here, that wants to just listen and dip out. So we got Toronto beating Halifax 14-13. Oshawa beating Philly 11-6. Oshawa needed that win. That was more of like we've got heart win. They played well. You got Buffalo beating Colorado, which I was a little bit surprised about, but I shouldn't have been, to be honest with you. Buffalo against the wall, and Buffalo, there's nothing to talk about. They are back into being contender status. They're 13-10. You got Vancouver 14-7 over Georgia Swarm. That was a massive win for Vancouver. That's a statement win for Vancouver. So good on them. Then you got Ottawa losing to Calgary 13-9. This was one that I think Ottawa needed to have. Like, now don't get me wrong, they're still going to probably make the playoffs. They've positioned themselves nicely, and they're able to lose a game like this because of the other teams they have beat. But like, this is like, guys, this would have been like, I'm pretty sure they would have clinched the playoffs if they would have won this game, or very, very, very close to it. So, and they would have been left into basically somebody else's destiny. Like, if somebody would have lost, they would have basically made the playoffs. But I digress. Then you got Saskatchewan squeaking out a win against San Diego, and I'm telling you, that was way closer than it had to be. San Diego, like I said, even though I've been hating on them all season, they are better than they show. but they just can't get it. Like, they just lose by a little bit, or I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about them, but I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. Their schedule is just, oh my god, I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. Their schedule is just too hard, in my opinion, at this point. The remainder, it's just, I mean, hey, if they can do it, they can do it. Hats off to them. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a rough road. And then finally, we had Vegas beating Rochester 17-10, putting up 17 on Rochester, which, I mean, they're both, like I always say, Rochester's a glass cannon. That's what I always say. And Vegas kind of set up the same way. A little bit better on the back end now with Tyson Bell there, but still just glass cannons. Boom. And what I mean a glass cannon is that you have amazing offense, but your back end, your defense, and your goaltending is the where it costs you, right? And that's exactly on both these teams is where the issue has been all season for both these teams. So I did say Vegas was going to win. That's not surprising to me. And Rochester's in the same boat as San Diego for me. And like everyone calls me haters all season, but this is what I've seen. This is exact where we're sitting right now with San Diego and Rochester is kind of to where I expected them to be sitting. Like, I'm gonna go back through all my games or all, like my actual when the season's over. I'm gonna see where I actually ended up with everybody. But guys, I'm telling you, this is kind of where I was at. So anyway, there's a quick rundown of all the games quickly. Here are all the scores. So we got Saskatchewan still sitting in first place with an 11-3 record. You have Vancouver at 10-4. You have Colorado Mammoth at 9-5. You have Georgia Swarm at 8-5. You have Toronto Rock at 8-5 as well. So you got, this is tight, guys. Then you got Ottawa Black Bears at 8-6. So see what I mean? If they would have won that game against Calgary, they'd be sitting with 9 wins right now and basically clinched the playoff spot. So big drop ball by Ottawa. They need to get those done. Buffalo 7-6. They're right back in this. They're right back in the conversation, just like that. Then you got San Diego with a 6-7, but they have a bumpy ride to the end. And just to give you guys perspective, I'm gonna pull it up right now just to show you because it's crazy. Their remaining schedule is fucking retarded. Their remaining schedule is hard, man. It's hard. So their remaining schedule is they've got 5 games left, right? Because they're 6-7, so that's 13. So they got 5 games left. They have Buffalo, Toronto, Georgia, and then Las Vegas twice. So those Las Vegas games are going to be the ones that really count. We're going to get to Vegas in a second. Vegas is sitting at the exact same record as they are at 6-7. Or sorry, Vegas is 5-7, not 6-7. 5-7. Rochester's 5-7. Halifax is 5-8. Calgary is 4-9. Oshawa is 4-10, and Philadelphia is 3-11. And everybody wants Philadelphia to finish last. And if you don't, you're wrong. Okay. So there's quickly before we continue on this, before I get too much into this, I do want to run through. So there was San Diego, right? So San Diego, Buffalo, Toronto, Georgia, and then Vegas twice, right? So let's go into Rochester because these are basically teams that are fighting for the playoff spot, right? So and Rochester just had a coaching change. So Rochester plays Vegas again. Then they play Oshawa, which should be a winnable game for them. Then they play Halifax, which should be a winnable game for them. Let's be real. Then they play Buffalo and then Georgia twice. So that's a hard finish. So they've got 2 there that I count, and then maybe 3. So like I said, they've got 3 wins left, and that's not going to be good enough. That's going to bring them to 5. That's going to bring them to 8 wins if they win 3 out of 3 out of 6. So Rochester does still have a little bit of a leash. I'm not going to lie, but I don't see it. I don't see it. Especially if Halifax gets them again. If Halifax gets Rochester again next week, which I think they're going to, then you got Halifax here, right? So these are Halifax. Oh, and then I'll show you Vegas in a minute too. But so Halifax, you got Georgia, Philly. So you got Georgia, Philly, Rochester, Vancouver, and Ottawa. So for Halifax, that Rochester game is going to be uber important. Philadelphia, they should win that game. Georgia, they probably are going to lose this game, but if they want to make the playoffs, they have to win this game. They basically have to win 5 games in a row. Let's be real, because that gives them 10. They need at least 4, I would say. They need at least 4 of these wins, 4 to 5 for sure. And like they've got Georgia, Philly, Rochester, Vancouver, and Ottawa. Good night, guys. That's done. If you think they can win that, I think you're a little delusional. And then we got Vegas. So we got Vegas. Vegas has 6 games left too. This is a massive advantage for Vegas. So Vegas, they could still finish with 11 wins technically if they went on a run. To be honest with you, looking at their schedule, they could go 6-6 here. I'm not getting it. It'd be insane. But they could do it. They got Rochester, Calgary, Colorado, Philly, San Diego twice. So I always said, like, they got San Diego, one of those games, probably pretty much guaranteed. Probably 2, but we're going to call it 1 for now. You got Philly that they should beat, especially because Philly's going to want to be tanking at that point. You've got Calgary they should beat, right? And then the Rochester one, technically they should lose. I'm going to give them that loss because they already beat one of them. Colorado, they'll probably lose. So that's 3 games. What do they get? What's that give them? 3 games gives them to 8. So they need to steal a game still. I will say that. They still need to beat Rochester again, Colorado, and then steal those 2 San Diego games, essentially. If they can do that, Like they still got to, honestly, their whole destiny is held by themselves. So that's where the kind of the good thing is in this one. And I'd prefer to be in that position than some other teams are. I can tell you, I prefer to have their schedule over any other of those other teams I talked about. So just my opinion, guys, just my thoughts on that. So, all right, let's get game by game real quick. We're getting real long on this podcast already. So let's go game by game. So we've got starting off strong. We've got 19th. We're gonna start off with the Buffalo Colorado game. Buffalo beating Colorado 13-10. Absolute statement win. Every time Colorado started to come back, Buffalo shut them down and closed the door and finished it out. So they had 19,070 fans. So it was a complete sellout again. Just pinnacle of this league. And every team should strive to do this. And if we had every team making 19,000 in each game, we'd be sitting a lot better for these players financially. You got on this side, you got Brandon Saris getting 6 points. You got Jack Hanna getting 5 points with a hat trick. You got Will Malcolm getting 4 points, two of each. You got Andrew Q, same thing, 4 points, 2 of each. Bucktooth with 2 assists, huge for him. He's a rookie. McIntosh got a goal, and you got Gillies, Ron, and Connor Cook all with assists as well. You got Saris also not only leading the team, but having 8 loose balls, which is huge. It's impressive when you can show with the trio up, I'll tell you that. I mean, he's still got, he played fantastic. On the other side, Josh Byrne, 9 points. Dane Smith, 9 points. 4 goals, 5 assists each. Crazy. You've got Colin Buchanan with a goal and 3 assists. Nanacoke with 3 goals with the Hattie. Huge. Scanlon with a goal and 2 assists. Joey Raz with 2 assists, but I can tell you he was doing all the dirty work, and shout out to BSC for pointing that out to me as well. So listen to their podcast earlier today. You've got Buffalo Sports Collective, just shout out to anybody for there. So that they pointed that out. You got Farrell with an assist, Steve Priola with assists, as well as Mike McCannell. Coltrane Tyson, I know they were talking about him too. Matt Vince also got in there with an assist. You had Mitch DeSnew with no points, but 11 loose balls. You know how much I love that stat. So good on him. Dylan Ward, again, not a great night for Dylan Ward, getting chased out of the net. He had 20 shots and 13 saves with a 65 save percentage, but Nathan Whittam came in there and played fantastic. I thought he was going to steal this game again. Fortunately, couldn't get it done, but the offense just wasn't there for him. And you had Dane Smith and Josh Byrne really picking it up, looking like their old selves, to be honest with you. So you got 30 shots on net for Nathan Whittam and 24 saves. So 80 save percentage, 6 goals in, like huge. Vince just doing amazing things against Colorado. You had 55 shots for 45 saves and an 81.8 save percentage. So massive. Huge. Good on him, guys. Good on him. That was massive. So there you guys have it. There's the Buffalo game. There's the first game of the week. So next game we had Oshawa beating Philadelphia 11-6 with an attendance number of... Oh my God, 4,805. Not good enough, Oshawa. Not good enough. But can you blame your fans for not coming out? Like, you showed some heart this game. I will give you that. But it's kind of hard it's rough to go watch that when you know, like, if you're going to watch a game and you know the team's going to give it its all, it's awesome. But when you go watch them and they just don't show up for half a game, it's like, it's disheartening. So you can spin it any way you want. Like, oh, people are leaving the arena with like smiles on their faces. And I mean, I see it online too. People are super positive. That's fantastic. But I want to see some heart out of you guys. And if no one else will call you out, I will. It is what it is. And it's unfortunate for Simmons because he had a monster night here. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But just unfortunate where they're sitting with the season that this guy's had. So right away, you have Brendan O'Neill putting up 3 points. Lucas Nielsen getting 2 goals. Rookie. Beautiful. Dalton Young getting 2 goals as well. Eric Fennell getting 2 assists. Sam LeClaire getting 2 assists. Kyle Jackson getting a goal. Travis Longboat getting an assist. Mitchell Armstrong getting an assist as well. But honestly, overall, not enough, guys. Like, you can't just put up 6 and expect it. But you gotta honestly, at this point, I will say, you have to look at kind of just, this isn't a season for you guys. You have to start looking at the future and just see what these young kids can come and do. And that, to be honest, there's nothing wrong with that. Enjoy the game, still go out and support your team, and especially because they might not be in Philly next year. And I really do hope Philly keeps them, but it's at the end of the day, man, you just got to enjoy that your rookies are going to do well and that you hopefully can see some development coming out of here. So then on the other side of things, we have Alex Simmons, 4 goals, 3 assists for 7 points. Massive night for Alex Simmons. Ryan Benesh getting 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points, showing that he's not done like some other teams think he is. You got 1 goal, 5 assists for Ty Kurtz. Ethan Walker with 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. Clark got 2 goals, toughest guy in the league. Dawson Theed with a goal and an assist. Halifax could have used that production. Jackson Nishimura with 2 assists. Dyson Williams with 2 assists. What is going on, Dyson Williams? Let's go. Dawson Thido, I will shout out this. 19 penalty minutes, okay? So double-edged sword there, I will say that. Jackson Fridge with an assist as well. You had Kyle Rubish with 11 loose balls. And on the goalie tending side of things, you had Nick DeMood, 10 shots, 6 saves for 60% save percentage. And then you had Knott come in, and he went 44 shots, 37 saves for 84.1 save percentage. So rough game for DeMood. Then you had Mr. Dougie Jameson having an amazing game, 45 shots, 39 saves for 86.7 save percentage. So it seems like this game, finally, now it was against Philly, all that kind of stuff, but finally it seems like Oshawa is finally, after this long and throughout the season, have finally figured out how to get their goaltending and their back end working, as well as their offense. Unfortunately, it's too little too late for those guys, and they are out of the playoffs. So, I don't know, man. Go figure out what you're going to do. It's unfortunate to waste such a great year by Alex Simmons. That is so disappointing. So, next we got Halifax and Toronto. 14-13 over Toronto over Halifax. Crowd was packed. 10,595 fans in that place. The place was pumping. I was supposed to go to this game. This was a game that was supposed to choose my fandom, and I've got an idea for how I'm going to choose what team I'm going to be a part of a fan. To me, I'm going to get off topic here just for a second. To me, when I choose a team, I ride with that team. Once that team's my team, I ride with them. So I don't take this lightly at all. Okay, so originally when I said that, as I've been watching the season, I've fallen in love with so many more teams. So I already had called it off that I wasn't going to choose. But technically right now I should be a Toronto Rock fan. But with that being said, what I come up with is how I'm going to pick a team. And it's going to be exciting. It's going to kind of, I could be sitting here 20 years not have a team yet. And then I could also pick a team first year and run with this team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a team for the playoffs. If that team wins the championship, I stick with that team forever. It's my team. If they don't win the championship, that team gets taken off the list until I go through all the teams. If in 14 years we get through a cycle and nobody's won yet, boom. When I pick this team this season, it's going to be a big deal, because let's say I take a team, let's say I take Toronto, right? Toronto goes to the finals and loses. That Toronto's gone from the can't be my team now. So now I have to go into the next team, pick another team. So we're riding. We're going to do this. I think it's going to be a really cool experiment, and I'll go into deeper into other videos and stuff, but just a little sneak peek to anybody who's listening on how I'm going to pick my team. So Halifax, like I said, their attendance was great. So Dawick with the game winner, but got 3 goals and 1 assist for 4 points. You've got Owen Hiltz, 4 points. Hattie as well, same as Dawick. You got Chandler Rogers with 4 points, 2 goals and 2 assists. You got Latrell Harris with a goal and 3 assists for 4 points. Matthews, same thing, 4 points, a goal and 3 assists. Sam English with a goal and 2 assists with 4. Let me just say this, okay? 14 loose ball pickups. Absolutely insane. Bushi got a goal and 2 assists. Dan Craig got a goal and assist. CJ Kurse got 2 assists. Elijah Gash got 2 assists, but CJ Kurse also got 7 loose balls. So shout out to him for that. Josh Jackson got a goal. Jubinville got an assist, as well as Nick Rose. So massive. A lot of people are mad that Nick Rose is in, or not mad, I guess, but a lot of people thought Troy should have kept the goal, should have kept the net, essentially. And I can tell you, I don't think so. I love Nick Rose, and they win in front of him. Again, they won again on beating Halifax at home. So on the other side of things, CP24, baby. 3 goals, 7 assists for 10 points. You can rebuild. Listen, we went through this at the beginning of the episode for a while. I'm fine with a rebuild. With that being said, CP24 does not move. It doesn't matter if you're retooling, rebuilding. This guy does not move. He is your piece that you build around. This guy is the future captain of this team. This guy is the guy. I wonder if we can get him on my show. That'd be cool. Then you got Mike Robinson with 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. You got Brandon Bomberry with 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Cody Jameson with 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. You got Will McLeod with a goal and assist. You got Jason Knox with a goal and assist. You got Ryan Terfranco with 2 assists. You got Roman Church with 1 goal. You got Jake Withers with an assist. And you got Austin Bloomberg with an assist as well as Stephen Coe and Pearson, all with assists. So again, not enough production out of enough guys, in my opinion. Not enough of it. Like, they all had kind of some production, but not quite enough. A little bit of back end issues. Like, I watched this game. I mean, like the goaltending, Nick Rose had 58 shots, 45 saves for a 77.6 save percentage. Warren Hill had rough night, 55 shots, 41 saves for a 74.5 save percentage. So this is what I'm talking about, Warren Hill, right? When he's had an amazing season so far. If he would have had his goaltending the way he's been playing all season as well, but it goes to show, is this a defensive breakdown as well a little bit? They let go their best defenseman, and that's saying a lot with Hosak there as well. Hosak, you could argue that he might be the better defenseman. I know the argument's there, to be honest with you. But I think Tyson Bell. Tyson Bell's my boy. I love him. I like I said, I think Rosie's the boy. I think Rosie's the goalie. I think Toronto just plays in front of him, as you can see. Toronto came out clutch. And you know what? I love to see a guy like Dawick, who gets hated on. Everyone calls him the owner's son, all this stuff. He's earned his spot on this team. He does. It's not like he's given this spot. He played for another team before this so he could get that off his kind of the radar. But at the end of the day, if your dad owned a team, man, why wouldn't you want to play on there? Keenan's, right? In Saskatchewan. That's why I love this sport so much too, guys, to be honest with you, is that there's so much intertwined into family and stuff. It's just different. It's different. Next, we got the game that's probably, in my opinion, the disappointment of the week for me. Calgary beating Ottawa 13-9. Now, with that being said, they put Calgary boys 15,000 in the building, over 15,000. Calgary, man, they are right there with a lacrosse city, just like just like Buffalo. Calgary's right there. We got some teams here that have potential to put in, like Colorado, Calgary, Halifax, and Buffalo. Like those 4 teams pack the house every single game. Every single game. It's 10,000. All those teams are able to hit 10,000 plus. Calgary and Buffalo. Buffalo's on a tear of its own. Calgary's right there. Calgary's right in that next tier down. And then you have like the Halifax, who's filled in their building, which I hope they eventually be able to get an upgraded building. And then you got Colorado, same thing. Like just packing it in. You know what I mean? So it'd be nice to see some other teams do that too. And hopefully we can get there. But there's some good lacrosse markets here, and lacrosse is growing. It is. I know people think it's not, but like it is growing. And I can't wait to do a numbers comparison at the end of the season for these, because there's like, I think the average attendance is going up. Now I will say there's a couple teams that are really bringing it down, but it's overall I think it's going up pretty well. So we've got Jeff Teat getting 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points. Robert Hellier getting 6 assists for 6 points. O'Connor getting 5 points. Connor Kiernan getting 4 points. Caputo getting 2 goals. Sundown getting a goal. Noseworthy getting a assist. You've got Callum Jones getting 12 loose balls. And you've got Reed Kurtz getting 11 loose balls. So massive. And then you've got Hayden Dixon getting 6 points on the other side. Tanner Cook getting 6 points, 3 goals, 3 assists. Hayden Dixon got 4 goals, 2 assists. Brandon Maya getting 3 goals, 3 assists as well for 6 points. You got Tyler Pace getting a goal and 5 assists for 6 points. Riley Lowen getting a goal and 3 assists for 4 points. Salama getting 2 assists as well as Manning. And you got Gauthier getting a goal. Pepper getting assists as well as Masuka and Leclerc both getting assists. You had Salama also getting 10 loose balls and big games. So big games on the goaltending side of things. You got Zach Higgins. Decent night. 54 shots, 42 saves for 77.8. Needs to be a little better in today's lacrosse and this year's lacrosse. Those numbers would have been acceptable last year. This year, you got to be closer to that 81%. And then speaking of the devil, you got Aiden Walsh with a 47 shots, 38 saves for an 80.9 save percentage. So just exactly what I said. In order to win games this season, it seems like the goalies have to be putting up that 81 save percentage. It just seems the way of the world now. And it's just, and realistically, like Calgary had a big second quarter and just was very consistent throughout this whole game. It was definitely a tight, a slow start to this game, but once it got going, and Ottawa though, like I said, to me this was a game, the disappointment of the week. Calgary, it's so funny too. Calgary has 15,000 fans when they're not playing, like when they're not good, right? But again, that just goes to show that a team is more like a fan base is more interested in watching potential than watching a mediocre team, right? So, all right. We've got San Diego losing to Saskatchewan 10-9, but this was no easy feat. So San Diego made it hard on them. You had San Diego putting up 6,715. Not bad. That's almost at the 7,000 mark. That's kind of where we need to be. If we could get to all the teams to this mark, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't hate it. But we still do need to grow. I think Saskatchewan's got a great fan base there. And they're diehard fans anyway. And if they can just figure out how to get that number back up to where it used to be, it would be so much better. But we'll get there, guys. Great job. So we've got definitely better turnout than they had at the beginning of the season. So we're trending in the right direction, right? So you got on the San Diego side, you got Ben McIntosh getting 4 goals, 1 assist for 5 points. Trey Leclerc getting 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Courier getting 4 assists and 10 loose balls. Huge. Connor Robinson getting a goal and assist for 2 points. Ari Stehanis with a goal and an assist for 2 points. You got Bradley getting a goal, and you got Gobrek, Berg, and Small and Marquis White with 1 assist. Now listen to me right now. Small and Wesley Berg getting 1 assist is not good enough. That's not good enough. That's crazy, guys. Yeah, Baptiste killing it, obviously, as he always does. And for some reason, Sorry, guys, just to say this right now too. For some reason, NLL stats.com isn't working on my computer, so I'm using it off my phone, and it doesn't show the face-off. So we're just gonna have to just blow past that this week. Sorry, boys. You've also got Robert Church on the other side. You got Robert Church getting 5 points, 3 goals, 2 assists. Zach Mann's getting 4 points, 2 each. Brock Haley getting 4 assists. Austin Shanks getting a goal and an assist. Zawada getting a goal and an assist. Keenan getting 2 assists, as well as Levi Anderson. And then you got Hosak and Archoni getting a goal, as well as Burnable as well getting a goal. And you have Mike Messenger, Levi Versh, and McClelland all getting assists as well. Hosak also got 9 loose balls. You know how much I love that stat. So huge. Then on the goaltending side of things, you had Irregulari having another great performance. 46 shots, 37 saves for an 80.4. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough, and Frankie outshined him over on the other side, getting 45 shots, 39 saves with a 81.3 save percentage. So Frankie has been having a fantastic season. The guy, everyone, you know what, for a lot of people saying, oh, he's old. He is absolutely killing it, and I want to see him win a championship. Like Saskatchewan, hot take, I can't take them this year. I took them last year. Doesn't mean they're out, because I'm going to start that this year. But the thing about Saskatchewan is, like, I just can't get on a bandwagon like that. I just can't. It's not in me. I can't cheer for the big dogs. It's just not. I just can't do it. So now Vancouver going into Georgia, beating them 14-7. With an attendance number of 4,929. So to be honest, for Georgia, that's not horrible, but obviously we want to see more than that. You had Keegan Ball, another fantastic night. 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points. And Chris Dixon, 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. Keegan Ball might be in the lead now for points in the league. You have Jesse King with 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. You have Ryan Sheridan with a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. You have Charlotte Beatties with 3 assists. Claridge with the 2 goals. Bowring with 2 assists, as well as Owen Grant. Bowring also had 13 loose balls. Massive. Dilks had a goal, as well as Callies. And you had Charbonneau getting an assist as well. And then on the other side of things, you had in Georgia, you had Jordan McIntosh getting a goal and 2 assists. You had Shane Jackson getting 3 assists. You had Lyle Thompson getting 2 goals. You had Nolan Byrne getting a goal and assist. You had Brendan Trumbull getting a goal and assist. You had Adam Weidman getting 2 assists. You had Michael Grace getting a goal and Triolo getting a goal. Michael Grace got 9 loose balls as well. You got Caleb Benedict getting an assist and Jacob Hicken getting an assist. Like, absolutely massive. And this is honestly wide open. I know, actually I do. No, it's not. No, it's not. Never mind. You got Christian Del Bianco having an absolutely fantastic night. Now, Connor O'Toole got in there for a minute, just I think to kind of give Christian a break for a second. But he got 52 shots for 45 saves for an 86.5 save percentage. So, like, Christian is, like, first off, I think Christian, to be honest with you, like, I think there's this rivalry going on between Christian and Brett Dobson. So, you got Brett Dobson getting 33 shots, 21 saves for 63.6, and then Shanahan came in and got 12 shots for 10 saves for an 83.3. And you haven't really seen Shanahan too much because you haven't needed to this season. Brett Dobson had an off game. Everybody's entitled to one. Delbs had one the other last week or whatever. The only shitty thing is that this was like kind of a legacy game a little bit, because this is going to go down as one of those games in history when you go back and you debate, because there's going to be a debate on who the better goalie was, Christian Del Bianco or Brett Dobson, and this is one of those games that you're going to be able to look at and be like, Delbs got Dobson head to head and had an amazing game. So, you know, I'm a big Dobson fan, man. Straight up, like, nothing is Christian. I think he's an amazing goalie. But after the season I've seen Dobbs play, man, I'm gonna rock with him being the best goalie in the world. When I will say though, when Christian does something like that out of principle, you can't tell me that wasn't. Listen to me. You can tell me all day. I don't care. Oh yeah, I don't really look at it like that. Bullshit. You know what you were doing. You know what you were doing, Christian. You know what you're doing, Delbs. You know what you were doing. You wanted to go show him who the best goalie in the world is, because up before the summer, everyone was saying you, and now there was talk and rumblings, hey, you know, maybe Dobson's going to take that title. And nope, not right now, he's not. But we'll see what happens in the playoffs, boys. And this is just fuel to the fire. It's just fuel to the fire. But shout out, you know what, Georgia is a great team. Vancouver, though, like everyone said, they kind of loaded up this year, and they are, and a lot of people were saying they're the favorites to win, like the whole thing at the beginning of the season, and then they've had ups and downs this season. Keegan Ball, man, just ridiculous. Final game of the week, Las Vegas, absolutely turning the heat up without, I wanted to mention this is a huge asterisk here, without Chase Frazier. Now, unfortunately, on the bad side of things, they had the low attendance of the week, and they also had the lowest attendance in Desert Dog history, so not a great look. Now, it was at a weird time. I think it was at like noon on a Sunday, and like I said, to me, like, they need to get downtown Vegas. It's just like everyone's issues, just get downtown, and then the fans will come in, especially if you just partnered with the casinos and got them to like kind of give out the tickets, like, and get the fucking fans filled. Get the bowl filled first, and then worry about it, right? So whatever. I know. What do I know? Right? So you got Connor Fields with a goal and 7 assists for 8 points. Huge night for him personally. You got Zed Williams getting 4 goals, 1 assist, 5 points. You got Ryan Smith getting 1 goal for 4 assists for 5 points. Ryan Smith had 9 loose balls. Zed Williams had 11, and Connor Fields had 8. So this team's a hardworking team. Launchberry too. 1 goal, 4 assists for 5 points with 7 loose balls. Thomas McConvey, 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points with 8 loose balls. Like, you don't see this on other teams. Just to let you know, all these loose balls they're going to get. Every player has all these loose balls. Riordan came in swinging with 2 goals. You got Hogg with an assist. And then the scoring obviously falls off the face of the earth. You had Cap is a rookie, Nathan Cap with 9 loose balls. And you have Dan Coates with 8 loose balls, Jensen with 8 loose balls. So this team's a hardworking team, right? But it's just not enough. Then you got, on the other side, you got Mitch Jones with 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. You have Donville with 3 goals, 5 assists for 8 points. Chris Cloutier with 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points. Kyle Killen with 4 goals, 2 assists for 6 points. Adam Poltres with a goal and 3 assists for 4 points. Crowley gets a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. Jackson Webster gets a goal and assist. Connor Kurse gets a goal. And then Ryan Blake, Tyson Bell both get assists. Connor Kurse has 10 loose balls. Tyson Bell has 5. Rise Blake has 6. But Poltres has 8. But I think he's the guy taking the dot. Again, I don't have it on here. Then you got... Again, the goaltending in Rochester just isn't good enough, man. Hartley gets 12 shots for 7 goals for 58.3 save percentage, and Hutchcraft has 38 shots, 26 saves, and 68.4 save percentage. And it's unfortunate because Hartley had a good start to the season, but he kind of just fallen off the cliff. And this is actually worse than it was last year, and this is really bad looking at going into the playoffs. Now, Alex Bouquet, a lot of people... PK, shout out BSC, right? I always like to shout those guys out. He was wrong in this one, and I think a lot of people were. It's not just him. It was a bunch of people in my Discord who were saying this. And it was like 54 shots, 44 saves for an 81.5% out of Bouquet, man. And amazing. And are they going to run with him? Kel's had a great night the week before. They're just testing him out. Maybe they're trying to decide who they're going to run with in the playoffs. But I can tell you, like, very, very... very good performance by Vegas. 6 goals in the first by Vegas, 3 in the second, 3 in the third, and 5 in the fourth. And Rochester, 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 5 in the third, and 2 in the fourth. So the only time they outscored him was in that third quarter. You know, not great, not good enough, right? So it is what it is. So let's see right now. Let's go look at the stat leaders. So right now, Keegan Ball has actually taken the lead for most points with 99 points in 14 games, and Jeff Teets at 96. Dane Smith is at 88, so if he goes and has an absolute monster of a night, he can catch up or at least close the distance for sure. Alex Simmons is sitting at 4th with 83rd overall, or 83 points overall, like crazy. 34 goals, leading the league in goals right now with 34. How is Oshawa not in the playoffs? That just shows how bad the rest of the team's been. Ottawa, Robert Hellier has 81 points. Connor Fields has 79. Josh Byrne has 76. Or 77, sorry. 70. Yeah, Ryan Keenan has 76 with 31 goals. Huge. You got Mitch Jones with 72 points. Robert Church has 72 points as well. And that's top 10. That rounds off the top 10, guys. So there you have it. I mean, in all fairness, I do want to shout out Tyler Pace because he's sitting 15th right now. And he's got 66 points, 19 goals, 47 assists. But on a team like Calgary, like, that's super, super, super impressive. So there's the point leaders for you guys. Let's go look at the goalies too. Let's look at the goalies quick. I know we did this earlier, kind of, but goalies. So we've got goalie stats. Right now, you got Frankie with ranked 1. Like, I'm just going to tell you when I pull up the goalie stats right now, this is where they're ranked, okay? You got Frankie at 1, Christian at 2, Dylan Ward at 3, Brett Dobson at 4, Zach Higgins at 5, Matt Vince at 6, Regular Area at 7, Warren Hill at 8, Ryan Hartley at 9, Nick Rose at 10, Doug Jameson at 11, Landon Kells at, like, they're all tied for 10 technically. Jameson, Landon Kells, Aiden Walsh, Troy Howachuk, Nick DeBoods at 15th, Nathan Whitham's at 16th, Alex Bouquet. So the list goes on and on there, guys. So there you have it. But let's see, like, that's just them ranked. But save percentage wise, Connor O'Toole's killing it 100%. No, we're going to get through the guys that, like, the starters don't really count, or the backups don't count right now for save percentage. You got Brett Dobson still sitting with an 85 save percentage, even after that rough game. Whittam, I know he's not a starter, but 84 save percentage is impressive where he's sitting. You got Christian with 82, Dylan Ward with an 81 still, Warren Hill with an 81 still, Not with an 81, again, not a starter, but he's played 200 minutes now, over 200 minutes. You got Saskatchewan, Frankie with 80, Nick Rose with an 80, Dougie Jameson with an 80, Nick Damu with an 80, Klozak with, again, he's only at 66 minutes. We're not really going to count him. You got Relier with 79, which the way he started was pretty good. You got Matt Vince with a 78 save percentage, which most years that's good enough. Hartley still has a 78, but he had an amazing start. Aiden Walsh has a 78, but again, he's starting to climb back up. And then Bouquet has a 78, but he's only played 151 minutes. He's basically a backup this season, but that could change heading into playoffs. So there you have it. There's a quick rundown of where we're sitting right now. Okay, so we're gonna go through Week 17 power rankings now. So we've got Vancouver at the top bar here. I think that other than that last misstep last week, I just think that they're the most complete team right now. With Keegan Ball, the way he's doing his thing, I'm going to have to put them at number 1. Saskatchewan's at number 2. If they would have beat San Diego decisively, they'd be at number 1 here, but they're kind of starting to scare me just a little bit. So let's see if they can buckle down, see if they can finish off this season really strong, but they are scaring me a little bit. I'm going to put Buffalo at number 3. I don't know. Oh, look at the record. Yeah, but you know what? This is a different Buffalo team than how they started. I think right now, if you're talking what team's going to run into there and try to beat you, it's going to be Buffalo. So I got Buffalo at number 3, Georgia at number 4, Colorado at number 5, Toronto at number 6, Ottawa at number 7, and then Las Vegas at number 8. So there you go, guys. There's my quick power rankings for the week. I think it's somewhat self-explanatory. I have Toronto over Ottawa because Toronto is on a heater right now. Ottawa's kind of, again, after that loss to Calgary, they shouldn't have won. So that's why I have them at 7th right now. Vegas over those other teams because of their schedule. And I think that right now, to be honest with you, I think Vegas, the way they just won, Tyson Bell coming in, Bouquet playing that good, and maybe you never know. Bouquet might come in and just steal the show, man. He might steal the show. Okay? So with all that being said, I think that it makes sense where all my stuff is. Buffalo, I can see where the argument's going to be made Buffalo, but I don't care. Buffalo right now deserves to be in that 3rd spot after the way they've come back and handled business, because that's exactly what they've done. That's where I have them right now. That's my power rankings. Quickly, going over the players of the week. Offensive player of the week is going to be Keegan Ball. Just an amazing performance. Week in, week out. There's nothing to talk about. Defensive player of the week, I'm probably going to give it to... Oh, man, it's hard not to give it to freaking... Go see this for a minute. Defensive player of the week. I don't want to... I do hate doing this, but I'm going to make a little bit of an exception. You know what? I'm going to give it to Reed Bowring because he got 13 loose balls. And you know how much I love those, right? And he's just such a presence for Vancouver back there. And I'm just, as much as I usually don't like giving both my offense and my defensive player to the same team this week, we're gonna do it this week. We're gonna make it a little bit different. We've got my rookie of the week is going to be a Mr. Brendan Saris with an amazing 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points, 12 shots on goal, 8 loose balls, and 3 turnovers. So just an amazing game by him. Definitely, I would say I think his best game of the season was this week. And when you have more points than the trio does, you're doing something right. So that Colorado's team is scary, and they're going to be scary as they keep bringing in more pieces. So this was a rough loss for them. I would have liked to see them win. I thought they were going to get Bandits, but at the end of the day, Bandits, like I said, have earned that 3rd spot on my power ranking list at this point. And then the goaltender of the week, buddy, this is where it gets a little bit rough because there's a couple guys you could say. But I mean, how do you not give it to Christian, right? Christian Del Bianco in this one. I think it's a toss-up between Dougie Jameson or Christian, but I think because of the bounce back that Christian had, I'm going to have to give it to him. He had an 86 save percentage or something like that crazy. Just absolutely killed it. And he also, what did he have? Saves. He had 45 saves. So, I mean, there's definitely nothing to talk about with Vancouver. And like I said, I gave them all the awards this week. I know it's an easy cop-out thing to do, except for the rookie of the week. But, to me, it is what it is. And I think the game of the week has to go to Toronto Halifax. Just the way that was a back and forth. Banging game, boys. Banging game. Just amazing. So let's go through the stat. Oh, no, we already did that. No, did we go through the stat leaders? Yeah, we did. Okay, so we already did that. So we've already done all that. So with that being said, let's get into the preview for next week. And we're going to get out of here because I've been talking your ear off long enough. So we're going into week 17. We have week 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We have five weeks left, and 21 is not a big week. We have 21. We have 5 weeks left. We're coming to the end. We have Saskatchewan versus Toronto. I'm going to take Toronto on the upset this week. I think Saskatchewan's a little bit rocky. This is going to be a big game for Saskatchewan, but Toronto has been so lights out lately, they could go in and lose. Like, trust me, I get it, but I just have this weird feeling. I'm gonna have a feeling that this is gonna be a game of the underdogs here this week, and I'm taking Toronto all day. And this is gonna help me win. Who you got? Because I got about 50 points to make up in this thing, so I got to get some wins. So we're swinging for the fences, and we're swinging for who you got. We're gonna ride with Toronto. Toronto is very high on this list to become my team for the playoffs this year. Like, they are right up there. It's just, do I want to burn them in case they don't go all the way? Is this the year they're gonna go all the way? I don't know. So we're gonna go with Toronto on this one though for this week. Georgia versus Halifax. They play again. I think they've already played this season, but they're playing in Georgia. I think Georgia takes the win. I think after last week's loss, they need the win. The goaltending is going to be too much. Halifax is just in for the rough, bumpy ride to the end, and Halifax is back against the wall. It's a win or go home situation. I think that's already pretty much done, but they still technically could make the playoffs. So I think they gotta win they gotta basically win out, or at least have 4 to 5 games. This is a game they're gonna have to steal. I said that from the beginning when I was looking at them 2-3 weeks ago as well. This is one of the games that they're probably gonna have to steal, and I think they gotta get it done. You got Vancouver versus Ottawa. I'm gonna take Vancouver on this one. Man, this is a hard game because Vancouver, I mean, it's just hard to bet against Vancouver, but Ottawa really does need this win. This is a scrappy win. Vancouver, the only thing is, though, Vancouver came in, they lost last time at home, and I don't think they're going to do it again. So I'm going to take Vancouver at home. I don't think they lose again at home. Then you got Rochester versus Las Vegas. I'm gonna take Vegas on this one. I think they get back-to-back games. I think that if they can win this game, this is almost like a playoff win or go home. I think that both teams could probably afford one more loss. They've got a kind of a game in hand on everybody else, and so it's not the end of the world. But at the end of the day, you want to win this game. That's 1,000%. Because I think Vegas, I think they're both at 5 wins if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Vegas has 6, but off the top of my head right now. But they both need that win. Then you got Colorado versus Calgary. Calgary just came off an amazing win. Colorado coming off a loss. It's gonna this game is gonna be my 10. Colorado's beating Calgary this week. And then San Diego versus Buffalo. I'm taking Buffalo. As much as San Diego likes to keep the games tight, Buffalo is backs are against the wall. I think they want to try to fight for a home field advantage for their first game like a home game, their first game of the playoffs, and it's huge and it's important to get that. And I think that Buffalo goes in here and wins. So to me, I think the big upset this week is going to be Toronto. Other than that, Ottawa really does need that win. That might be one that I go with just to try to get the extra points that people aren't going to get. I think a lot of people are going to bet on Rochester as well, and Vegas is going to take that win. And San Diego, we'll see what happens there. But nice thing is, you got 3 games Friday, 3 games Saturday, so we'll get some games in nice and early. And yeah, so there you have it, guys. I am going to be in Halifax this weekend for my daughter's cheer event. So with that being said, I'm going to do I'll watch the games. I'm going to watch the games for sure. I just won't be in my home base. So with all that being said, I think I hit everything in this episode that I possibly could. These things are long, man, but I got to bring it. I got to bring you guys the content. So with that being said, thanks for stopping by. I know I just put a podcast out yesterday. I'm going to put one out. This will be out today. It's kind of just how it worked out. I'm super busy, and I said I was going to get those out, so I did my best. And this is my best, guys. This is legit my best I can do with the time I have. So I apologize. I wanted to have my box one out Monday. I'm really striving towards that. Like I said, I thought the game was on later yesterday. So anyway, with all that being said, thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. Leave me a comment. Love you guys. Especially if you're still here, leave a comment, pineapple or something, just to show me that you're still listening. It's crazy. Follow, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I'm assuming by this time you would be. And with all that being said, my name is Jake McDonald. I'm Anything Lacrosse, and this game never sits still. We will talk to you guys soon, and we have an exciting couple weeks ahead of us. So playoff teams are going to be showing who's going to make it and who's not. So keep in mind, or keep watching. It's going to get exciting. Let's go, guys. We'll talk to you soon.